Hello and welcome to the PUBG Mobile Club Open Fall Split of 2019. My name is Brainstorm. I'm joined by Smash. We're here taking a look at the South American region once again.
Certainly are.
We now move into groups B and D for the day. And just to give you all some catch up and some details up front, if you do want to keep up with all of the games that's being played here and catch up on all the ones you may have missed, as there is a lot of PUBG Mobile. I know that you and I are missing like pretty much half the tournament in terms of catching it live because, you know, we have to sleep between broadcasts. How dare we? So if you're like us, you missed half the games, you do want to go and catch up on them, you can do that over on the PUBG Mobile Esports YouTube channel. It's probably where you're watching the stream, let's be real. If it's not, then head on over there, drop a subscription. You'll be able to keep up with all of the games that are going on. And if you don't have PUBG Mobile on your phone and you're watching a PUBG Mobile stream, then I guess you're just a big fan of PC PUBG and you're coming on over. But either way, you can download that on the Google Play Store or the iOS App Store. Moving into our competition system, Ben, run me through it.
Well, we have 4 groups to start with. That's 32 teams. And from there, we play 24 games, work our way out of... work our way into the top 24 teams for the next stage. There's another 24 matches for 24 teams. And then from there, we get the top 16 teams move on to the regional finals, where they will play 10 matches to decide who progresses through in the tournament. This is how they get through that tournament. They need to win some points, and here is 20 you get for the first chicken dinner, or for all the chicken dinners. Second place gets 14. Third place gets 10. 1 point for each kill, which we've seen be quite popular with some of these South American teams, especially the Brazilian killers. They've been chasing those 1 point kills.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. And the other big thing that we've really seen having an impact on some of these teams is the fact that you only get 1 point for the bottom 5 places on the leaderboard, which is quite a bit. We are having a look at Group B versus Group D today. We have 16 teams in each group.
Well, 8 teams in each group.
16 in 2 groups, 32 in a region. I was getting there. Given that we have 24 games in this first stage, each team plays 12 matches. For these teams on your screen right now, it is 5 through 8 that we are playing of those 12 matches. So we're getting towards 2/3 of all of their matches played. So for those teams who are sitting in the top half of things right now, then they're not going to be too concerned. I believe the highest team out of groups B and D, with only 4 matches played, is currently Ace 1, who is sitting in 11th, if I recall correctly. So they're going to be pretty comfortable. But the big thing for us really is we're looking at the teams who are down the bottom in 25th to 32nd places. Those are the places that will be eliminated after 12 games per team, 24 matches total. There's a lot of numbers, and I'm terrible at maths, so we're doing our best. But we're pretty much getting towards crunch time right now. There's still a bit of a lifeline left, but given that we will have over 60% of games done for the day, a lot of these teams down the bottom will be wanting to get some frags, get some placements happening.
Yeah, it's the time to turn around your season so far. If you haven't had the best time of it, you can have a good day today, and that will provide you with the points buffer you need going into the last set of games to really decide your own fate. Teams like Intz, Crazy, they'll be looking for big days today. But yeah, we did have the Ace 1 guys, Red Canids, Batmen, who are sitting okay, I'd say, as they are the points leaders for the teams that have only played 4 games.
Well, that's the thing as well, right? Like, statistically, if you have half the pack of the 32 who have played double the amount of games, that should be, mathematically, you think that should be the top 16, right? Just all the way through, because they've played double the amount of games. So if you're sitting anywhere in, let's say, the top 20 with half the amount of games played, you're probably feeling pretty safe. We are getting ready for our first map of the night, though. 4 maps, of course. Erangel to start, Erangel to finish, as per usual. Today, our middle maps will be Vikendi and Miramar in that order, as we do tend to stick, or not even tend to, we do stick with double Erangel for the entirety of the group stage. And then, actually for the entirety of the semi-finals as well. And then swap out the 2 middle maps. So, getting ready to drop into Erangel now. We've got a new and sparkly plane. We've not seen the blinged out skin just yet.
No, we had a lot of different skins over the different regions. This is a
very exclusive plane.
This is a Severny to Corey plane trip. It's quite a cheap ticket if you are interested. This time next year.
How do you get on the plane though? It just starts and finishes in midair.
That's a good question. Question for another day.
Exactly that.
Well, it's got to start somewhere.
Watch this now be like a really harsh southeastern circle or something.
I would not be surprised. We see the planes going over ruins and Gakar, basically straight over the top of that. There is going to be a lot of zones in place, and we've got the Georgia Pole area that teams do like to play. We've seen Pachinki have a lot of teams drop in it and fight in it, much to their demise. But it is the South American region, and that's typically been a slower paced region. They haven't been too keen on fighting early. It would be nice to see if that's changed or not today.
I mean, it was our very first South American game when we were first jumping into this region here at PMCO 2019, where we had 13 minutes until first knock. Not even elim, just first knock. So it's been a bit of a slower pace. We'll see if that's changed. Of course, Brazilian Killers in the other group are currently sitting on 75 frags. They're 20 above the next team behind them in terms of kill points. Of course, there is teams who have well more placement points, so they're keeping it competitive that way, but in terms of killing, they are unmatched. The circle pops in the northwest, which is pretty friendly considering how ugly that plane path was, really. It was not really open to a lot on the map. You can see the south of the map, the eastern side of the map, not too much pressure there. We do actually have teams rotating out of the circle to go east and loot because they know that everybody is going to be in the middle of the map.
They certainly are rotating out. As we see, Rozhok is central. As we see our first knock actually going out already. So that is a change of pace from the way that things have been going so far. I believe that was Loops Esports maybe getting a knock there. So well done to them. Can they confirm it though? As we see some car-on-car action. We saw this. There's a car blowing up already. That is going to be a confirmed knock out. That is Loops Esports getting a first kill all the way on the board. Well done. That was Real Esports, one of their players dropping out.
It's also one of their players who got knocked, so they may well be 2 players down if Luke's been able to find a confirm on that.
That was quite Quite a rare scenario. Is another real player.
I don't...
It's knocked. Maybe it could have been the same player as before.
I'm not sure if that was the same one. I didn't take note of the name closely enough, but we'll have to keep an eye on those loops, boys. It looks like that was another knock because there's 63 alive right now. You'd assume it was 64 at the start of the game. Either way, a lot of these teams have indeed made their way east to go out of the circle. It's Intz leading the charge way out towards the Pubg. That's the good thing about this plane line being so western. Sure, it's not exactly a meta idea to rotate out of the circle rather than staying in, but it does mean they get some pressure off to go loot. That's the confirm onto that Real player as well. So they're definitely 2 down now.
Certainly are. You can see it on your screen now. Real hurting a little bit as they are 2 down. Not too fresh on the loot either.
Guns.
They are
no.
in the Rozhok area. Looks like they landed at one of these compounds here, trying to get one up on the Loops fellas. But the Loops guys, they woke up pretty early this morning, woke up on the right side of the bed to start fragging straight away. So that's probably the earliest amount of action we've seen in this region, I'd say.
Probably. We've got a little bit of a compound 1v1 here between one of these Reds Cannons players and, is that RD? I believe it is.
Certainly is.
Hanging out on opposite sides here, but given that it's 1 player versus 1 player, they shouldn't be getting too much done. Helmet through the top of the car, that's not what you want. Probably hurts the head a little bit. Either way, this is the Loops Esports guys already with 2 kills for themselves very early on indeed. Now we have had a couple of teams, like I was saying earlier, rotate outside the circle to loot. Looks like we've got 4 outside the bounds at the minute. Red Cannons in the southwest, CTL, SvG, and Intz over to the east. Looks like the Loops guys might be heading out that way as well. And that circle is going to be moving pretty soon here, in 5 seconds in fact. So given that they have had to rotate all this way out, they're then going to have to rotate all the way back in. The first zone doesn't do too much damage, but they haven't had as much time to loot as they probably would have liked.
No, and they'll be either making the mad dash into the center of the circle, or they'll be playing the edge for the rest of the game, where it can get pretty tricky because you'll have the blue to your back, and then there will be squads in front of you. So you'll be on the clock essentially to deal with the squads in front of you. Otherwise, the blue will start chomping for you. As we see, the squads just proning out for now. Lots of teams know where enemies are, especially if they are sharing the same town. That is South George that was just on your screen. Two teams in that. And this is the standoff we had earlier between the Red Cannons and RD, as we have seen LP make their way towards the prison, which is just outside the zone, but quite an easy rotate to get back into that.
It is indeed. That's where Intz is as well. And CTL now following them out as well. These guys do want to get some loot, and they might even decide to take a bit of zone damage just to be able to get the end of looting, or the rest of the looting that they will need, because they've got safer looting to go out there. Going out there, that whole sentence was just a real rough situation for me. They've gained themselves the extra loot potential by going to cities where no one else has been, but they've had to drive out of the circle to get there, and they'll have to drive back in as well. So we'll see how the timing works out for them.
On your screen now, Hard Drop, who have had a rough time of it so far, so they're going to be looking to turn around their fortunes.
Currently in 32nd place on 8 points.
They have had a real, I don't know how to put it,
rough
nicely.
Time.
Yeah, rough time.
In comparison, the top team also on 4 games is Ace 1 at 54 points. And then just to, this isn't exactly a fair comparison because they've played double the amount of games, but Brazilian Killer's currently on 144 points after 8 games played. So bit of a way for Hard Drop to go, but still doable for them.
Yeah, no, they only need to get to that 23rd or 24th position to get out of the group or into the next phase of the groups.
And just to put a number on that as well, sorry to come over you there.
Sure.
24th place is currently Killer's team at 25 points. So there's not actually that much for Hard Drop to catch up. Of course, you don't want to just graze 24th because there's still freedom to be pushed around out of there. But they're only really needing, I reckon if they can get 25 to 30 points from 4 games today, it's obviously a lot more than they've gotten before, but that's
a rock, sir.
Very, very comfortable in terms of what we've seen other teams been achieving. Like we saw a 90-point day from Cloud9 earlier, a 95, so in North America. So it's definitely doable, and if they can get that amount of points, they'll be looking a lot healthier.
They certainly will be looking a lot healthier as we are on board with SvG as they crashed into a rock earlier, straight into the middle of it.
Star points.
Just a quick way to break. Ooh, avoid that one.
That we're good. Not a problem in the end. We've seen some interesting driving over the last few days of PMCO.
We have.
Seen a couple of interesting decisions made in vehicles.
Now this South George fight that has been going on, or lack of a fight. That is
gutsy rotate on the bike.
Full send and a half, as they do get sprayed down, but nothing connects. No player will be knocked. They make it over the top of the hill, safely away. Very surprising, that one, as I thought for sure someone on the back of that bike was going to take
absolutely.
a fall.
If you're on a bike. If you're in a car, then that maybe is slightly safer. Still, I wouldn't recommend driving through 4 people prone in the grass with guns, but on a bike, very risky indeed. They will, however, make it through as the circle, or the zone, I should say, continues to move in.
That was our leaders of the pack to Ace 1, the top team in this lobby at the moment. So they are showing no signs of fear as they rotate straight through other teams. Maybe not showing the respect they should. WarMaster Esports there, not connecting on the shots, as Red Cannons have moved into Ruins, which is a smack center of the zone. They might have to move out eventually, as a Ruins circle is not the most likely, just because of its proximity to water.
Would be dramatic, though. All these half walls that you can fight around and, you know, be interesting. There's not a whole, despite how it looks, there's actually not a whole lot of usable cover in Ruins, given that a lot of it can be shut down by angles, but we'll see. I doubt that's where we're going to end up. Either way, still on board with the Red Cannons at Ruins. There is an airdrop with an AWM that RD are going to be able to grab here. What else we got? Level 3 armor, level 3 backpack, AWM and ammo for it. That's pretty good, to be honest, for a crate. You'll take that.
It certainly is, especially in this part of the game where the zone is so big that those sniper rifles can actually be used to effect. If you're getting the AWM in one of the last circles, and might not be as effective as you are being close up.
Late game, you'd probably prefer like an AUG or a Groza or something like that. But the AWM, the snipers, when the game is still this far open, it's pretty good. Circle has shifted central, roughly.
Yeah, there's still a lot in there. It's splitting the water straight in half, so there is the north and the south side. So teams will have to choose to rotate over the top of the map or not. There's still Roshot hanging around in that circle, pretty central. The Ruins is still in. Not central enough, though, for my liking. Shooting range, Severny still on the outskirts of the circle. Georgia Pole south of it, still in the circle. So that fight that's been going on for quite a while there might stay there for a little bit longer, as we are on board with SvG as they try and get a few knocks here. The action has slowed down quite a lot since those two players have dropped by the hands of LP.
But that tends to be pretty standard from what we're seeing from this region, right? The action is pretty slow at the start of the games unless two teams run into each other early. Like it seems that they're all happy to take fights, they just don't go seeking them until the second or third circle, pretty much.
That's correct. As we have seen Red Cannons, they've probably been the most active team on rotation so far. As there is your live standings. As you can see, those are the teams that have played all of their 8 games there. So all those teams are essentially 4 games ahead of this lobby.
Yeah, the top 10 all have 8 games. Ace 1 would be on this list if it was top 11, but they're sitting there just below. That said, with 4 games played, they're currently sitting on 54 points, so only 10 behind Influence Rage, who have double the amount of games.
So they'll be looking to catch that up, and they should finish up around Team Queso, maybe Nova Esports, because I don't think they're going to catch Bastardo 6, 9, and Brazilian Killers. Those guys have been on fire. They've been dominating every lobby they've been in. So I would not expect to get Ace 1 that high today, but never know. Could surprise us, could dominate this lobby and get some big chicken dinners.
They'd need nearly 100 points in a day to catch up that far, but regardless, I think they will be safe, considering that 32nd place, as we talked about before, is currently on 8 points, and the benchmark for getting out of the bottom 8 is 30-ish, 30 to 40 points probably would make you safe from bottom 8, given that 24th place is currently on 25 points, so 30 to 40 points will make you safe. They're at 54 with 4 games to go. They're going to be fine. Loops just had a guy fall out of a car.
Having a spill. Put your seatbelt on, fellas.
Absolutely that. Go get him a Band-Aid. Kiss the boo-boo better. That's how it works.
I think I need to pick him up and kiss that boo-boo better quickly, as the zone is moving in. They are safe at the moment, but who knows with PUBG Mobile. The action could kick off at any moment, as we see a dinner plate on the back of a buggy popping off. Essentially a turret.
That sentence with no context is amazing. Yep. Here is an M24 going at it. Might actually be able to pick off this bike if it comes out. It's behind the fence, so it's okay for now. But still, Paris here from XG does have the advantage of range over these guys, who will barely even know he's shooting at him, particularly with a silencer on that gun.
Just having a peek, just having a look-see.
Circle coming in now, Zone coming in now as well. Circle going to shift. There's very little water in it, just the river in the center and a little bit of water on top, so it could go anywhere, and it's going to center over ROCKET.
Yeah, ROCKET is all about it at the moment. It is still pretty much 50-50 on land, as the north and the south are divided by that little inlet there. So next circle could shift north, could shift south. If it shifts south, a lot of these teams are going to be displaced, and they'll have to try and funnel their way through ROCKET or across the ROCKET bridges. If it shifts north, then not too many teams displaced by that, as there are only a few teams in ROCKET, as we see a Groza sitting in the grass. An 8-time scope there. It's not the most handy scope for that Groza, but you'd take the Groza nonetheless. Got free level 3s as well. Level 3 vest.
Got to believe, mate.
On the 8 times Groza.
8x on a Groza? Absolutely. What's your name for the 8x?
Ernie.
Ernie
8 times.
8 times? All right. Just checking, just making sure. You said you had one for every scope, and I'm going to continue checking.
Yeah, no.
Mainly because I don't have any. The Ace-1 guys holding a compound here, a house. Not really a compound, it's just a house. Still pretty safe in that one. Some cars rotating close to each other, but I don't think any shots will be taken at the minute. Most teams are already inside this circle. There's only a few who are still to rotate. SSB did go out of that circle just a little bit, but looks like they've grabbed a crate on the way in as well. And the RD guy's going to jump potentially past that crate up north, but no, looks like they're going to leave it and just head straight for the circle. So everyone should make it in at this point, except Crazy might actually rotate straight into RD if they keep going the way they're going.
Certainly could. Looks like they are going to combine paths. They are both in vehicles, though, so it could just be a friendly Toot and Scoot moving past each other, unless someone decides to spray from the car windows, which is awfully rude if nobody's spraying back.
Oh, yeah. You can't do that.
Can't be. Well, here we go. That is RD actually getting a spray down onto Crazy. So one of the players from RD hopped out as soon as he heard the car. So Crazy member has ended up falling by the wayside, as they are down to 3 now on that Crazy side. And they were one of the teams that really needed points coming into today.
Yeah,
so
they're in 31st
quite unfortunate stuff for them.
It's not the start they would have been looking for. Still, of course, 3 games to play for the day, and 3 players still in this game here in Erangel. So a decent amount of chance to come back into things. Paris is still the lord over all he surveys with this silenced M24, looking down in that compound below him, but yet to be rewarded with anything. I think he spotted a couple of players, so he'll know they're there, but won't be rewarded with any damage. In the meantime, Red Cannons considering trying to sneak in on this compound here that SvG currently holds, but might bypass it and go down the hill instead.
Might just play on this little ridgeline here. Gives them cover from where SvG are playing, and they can kind of see what else is going on. They can use those cars as cover, blow them up if they do choose to. It is pretty central where they are playing, so a bit risky. I would probably keep those cars intact till you know what side of the inlet it's going to fall on. And it's going to fall north, as the circle has shifted once more, circling in on where the red cannons are. Crazy also have a decent position. Well, it's actually circled in on where Ace-1 are moving to. That crate is pretty central as well. Crazy looking pretty decent.
Only a couple teams coming from the south as well. I say a couple, it's 5, but CTL are already heading up the eastern bridge. They did not have too much trouble with the rotate. Kicking off here between RPG and KST, and RPG's house is going to get crashed. That could well be a team elimination just here in a second. Not sure how many players are actually left in the team, but I think it should just be one here for KST, but no.
First team.
RPG will be able to get the pickups on their 2 players who are down. It's Killer's team who are out in 16th after a pretty hectic house fight there. In the meantime, though, continuing to pick off RPG. Things not getting easy for them. Now getting fired on from a long range. SvG inside this house have spotted out the red cannons guys in all of their vehicles outside, but won't get anything onto them just yet. The zone now starting to move as well.
Killer's team was sitting smack bang on number 24 on the leaderboard. They won't move up a place, even with the 1 placement point, as they were 5 points behind the next. As we see more knocks going in, compound crashes coming in. This is the red cannons on board. They have done a lot of damage to this squad that they are crashing. They're very low on that side, so nades will come flying in. That's a nice knock coming through with that nade as well. So we have lots and lots of action kicking off already, as these nades are just shelling them. This is a mortar strike from the red cannons. They've used their utility very well, and with those knocks, they're going to come and push in. There's a man just under the stairwell in a Harry Potter closet. He gets taken out pretty quickly. Does get a lot of damage on the trade, but The red cannons are all over this movement at the moment.
And there they go, Critical Esports out in number 15. Actually, no, that's not even the team we were just watching. That's a different team altogether, but looks like we should be losing another team just here in a second. These RPG guys have only got the one player remaining. By the looks of things, it appears to be 3 knocks, unless there's one getting a res.
Looks like there is one getting a res right now.
Go. So it was actually, yeah, it was the res, not the multiple knocks. So RPG, they were down to just the 1 or 2 players there. They've had a chance to revive. Red Cannons take a reprieve in the middle of that fight to get some healing off.
Just hanging out for the moment, waiting for the dust to settle. Another grenade might poke through this window. Don't know if it's going to connect on much. It doesn't.
Indeed, it does not. HD and Real kicking off elsewhere on the map. We're now at the 18-minute mark, so we're starting to get to the point where engagements come more frequently in this South American region. So many cars in and around these buildings.
That's not either.
I was going to say, it's an interesting park. I mean, you'd fit in a smaller parking space. You'd do well in Sydney, but...
yeah. Might get a ticket for that.
Might. I mean, you get a ticket for most things in Sydney. Just being in the city in a car is ticket material half the time. Red Cannons still want to go in on this compound here, but they know that they've given their opponents plenty of time to revive and to heal. And that's what they've got to be careful of. Still action going on in the next... Sorry?
Real just dropping out there. They were down to the 2 players from our first engagement of the map, so they're gone for the day, or for this Erangel map. As that car is on fire. It's not somewhere you want to be close to at all. Another nade comes out. This
How
is
many nades they got?
Nade number probably 8 or 9, I'd say. Ooh, that does a fair bit of damage too, knocking these players to half HP. That Molotov they threw in previously does get a knockout. This might be the signal to go, go, go. Pushing in here. There is one player just sitting on the deck, knocked out. But the Molotov is actually burning himself with it. So this is a Molotov he dropped down earlier. And it is burning his own team to death, but it does fade, and they will be able to get the pickups. Red Cannons eliminate Rocket, but they do take 1 loss themselves, it seems.
Interesting timing on that whole engagement there as well, deciding to pull out of it and then go back in so later that they've given multiple chances for enemy to heal. But nonetheless, even though they bleed a couple to the Molotov, they've got it done. The circle has shifted eastward, and we've still got so many players alive for the circle to be this small. These next few minutes are surely going to be kill heavy, we'll say.
Well, you'd hope so. As SvG, they've been rotating around. They had 3 in one car and 1 in the other. They've found themselves a little bit of a gap to have a reprieve in for the moment, as we see more knocks flying out all over the place. This is getting very action-packed. We're getting shelling grenades in onto this X team. Scary stuff as they are packed into this house altogether.
They do still have a bit of cover to work with. Intz have just lost 2 players to the play zone, I believe, unless that was one getting knocked and then confirmed by it. Not actually sure which way it went. Crazy have found themselves a knock, but whether or not they'll be able to confirm that is something very different. And indeed, this is what we thought. Killfeed starting to kick off here as Crazy cop more damage again. This might be them going out in 12th place, and that would be unfortunate. They were one of those teams we were saying need to get some points on the board here, looking for... Probably 30 points for the day is going to be a reasonable benchmark for them, which is not insanely high given the other games we've had, but still would be far cry above the other performances they've managed. So if they've lost 3 players, which is what I think they've just done, then I think it's going to get difficult for them.
We're actually only down to 11 teams now, so things are really kicking off. Teams getting knocked out as we see a player.
Yeah, there you go. What's Crazy?
That's Crazy gone in 12th place. So as the water crosses come in, the beach camping does resume as SvG are actually getting lit up quite heavily. They only have 2 players active at the moment, 1 player on the deck. He will be able to be revived from these car cover, but your kill feed is getting lit up by the amount of teams that are going in here. XG are going to pick up a kill onto Loops. So that team fight is still kicking off. That's closest to the center of the circle. This RD squad now have the advantage of the zone at the moment, as they are looking over the BTMT team coming in from the beach. Red Cannons working their way in too. Still a lot of action on the northern side. That's where you're going to see most of these kills kick off.
The one saving grace for the Batman here down on the beach is that they do have the advantage of being in the circle. That's a pretty difficult spot to get out of if there are teams camping at you or camping you while you come up that hill. So good thing is they don't have to make a move just yet. They can hope that the aggressors on top of the hill do get involved in another fight, but the circle has shifted. Now they're out of it, so they will have to make their way up the hill, and it's a western shift this time, so nobody's actually in the circle just yet, apart from a few players from RD.
No, as Ace have a decent run into the circle too if they choose to move early. They are gatekeeping Intz at the moment, and Loops if they have the line of sight onto them. They're holding a compound so they can run out pretty quickly, and they're going to need to get a wriggle on because taking that zone early is quite advantageous at this point. As you see the alive scale here, only 2 teams with, well,
3 teams.
3 teams now with 4 ups. Rush to Die and Loops have a player on the deck taking a nap. Ace 1, they have 3 players remaining, so they are the leaders of this group so far. 3 players isn't the worst situation to find yourself in this late in the game. Obviously, you'd prefer to have that 4 as one of the SvG players does take a dip. Back to 4 teams with 4 players as more fights go on, and RD are getting sandwiched a little bit from those beach players. They've let them come up a little bit too far, maybe giving them a bit too much room.
Intz continuing to take damage as well. That's a double car explosion knock there from HD. LPS putting some damage onto Intz as well. Those guys also haven't had the best start to the tournament, sitting in 30th place. So unfortunately, we've seen our bottom 3 teams getting bullied pretty hard so far this game. Potentially really dangerous car movement there, but I think they'll get away with it for now. Speaking of dangerous, these Ace 1 players stuck inside a smoke, still getting some good contact out of it, and fights going on all around them as well. 27 players alive, rapidly dwindling numbers. Still 10 teams up though, as the losses are pretty even across the board. From 5 teams with 4 players, we now fall to 2. Batmen, I should say, and XG. More players going down to car explosions as well. It's difficult to keep up with this many fights happening at once, but
push the 8 players, gets 1 knock.
Exactly that. SG charge on, or XG, I should say, Mix Zero here, charges on out. Will find himself 1 knock, not able to confirm it, but keeps the pressure up.
This is your last man from SvG at the moment alive. He might be able to get his mate up, but I'm not sure, as it is in a pretty risky spot. The Ace players are going to revive, as they are only a 2-man squad at the moment, so XG could pick them off pretty quickly. We are into the top 8 teams, so Hard Drop have managed to climb themselves up some of the points that they need to secure some safety, as we see XG starting to take some knocks themselves. Batman, the only team with 4 strong, but they are in that position that is downhill, and one of the Ace players does get confirmed out. 1 left for them. Intz, SvG, and Ace all hurting bad, as Hard Drop did drop out into 8th place. Another team goes down. That's Ace. They pick up 7th for the start of the day. SvG Snake goes down too. Now all of a sudden we're into the top 5.
Very, very quickly indeed. Batman still with 4 alive. XG, if they can get this revive off, which they'll be finishing on your screens right now,
last Intz player
back into 4 as well.
Last Intz player is proving to be pretty difficult to get rid of, as you see it is pretty low, but finally goes down to XG, who are in the dominant position at the moment, you'd say. 9 kills for them already. RD, they've notched up 7, so those are probably the top 2 killers at the present time, as Batmen have been pretty quiet. Red Cannons have been rotating around the map frequently, but haven't been able to find much, as one of the RD players manages to get a knock onto XG. That was from quite a while away, it looks like.
This circle's been bouncing around all over the place, by the way. It's shifted north now. It's just been pinging all around the inside of the zone every time it shrinks. Red with a couple of knocks onto the Batman as well. XG, this circle shifted directly onto them, so they'll be sitting pretty in the cover they have found. Batman are still stuck on this hill that they've been trying to work their way out of. RD
Red are struggling,
might even just grab this crate and then see if he can pick off Batman with it, with whatever he gets. Let's see what Gunny does get out of this, not quite sure.
Refresh level 3s are pretty handy, as the Red Cannons have been forced out into an open position. You can see them there. They only have the 2 smokes for cover. One of the players is getting revived at the moment. But it is Batman who are taking a bit of a beating here from the side, as they are down to only 2 players. Red Cannons answering back onto XG. They're going to need to put up a fight, because XG are in a dominant position, even with... Oh no, the XG are not actually in a dominant position at the moment.
They've got a compound inside the circle. They've got 4 up.
Might have to rotate out of that on the next shift. Could be risky business.
That said, should work out pretty well for them, as they are continuing to hit knocks. They've taken down 1 of the Red Cannons players, and every kill they can get, they already have several, will continue to pump up their standings higher. RD also doing well, even though they only got 2 players left. They are on 8 kills as a team. XG with big spray through the smokes, trying to clean this one up, but not done it just yet. I'm not actually sure what RD got out of this crate, if anything. Yeah, there go the Batman. They were in a really rough rotation, mate, going up the hill. All of a sudden, 6 players, 2 teams. It comes down to these 2 from Rush to Die, and I think it's going to be pretty rough for them. They're all super low on HP. It's 1 player left. He's going to throw out a smoke for cover, but it's a 4v1 at this point. I don't think there's a whole lot he can really do. Sorry, it is still a 4v2. I thought he lost his teammate, but I was mistaken.
His teammate's not going to be able to get revived here, I think, so it is going to be a 4v1 at the end of the day, as they are pretty split up. looking like XG were in the dominant position, so they are looking to take this. This is just trying to flush it out, and there it goes. XG are going to pick up your first chicken dinner of the day, and it was a decent-sized one at that, as they pick up 13 kills for the start of it. RD picking up 10 kills on their way to second place, and the Red Cannons, they had a strong performance too. They were jumping around like a cat on a hot tin roof, rotating around that map, so to see them come in on third place, they've done well to get themselves there.
They have indeed. So our top 3 teams with quite a few kills over the course of that game. We're pretty happy with that. I think it was 12, 10, 11 with the kills going down 1, 2, and 3. So decent on both the kill points and placement points. That's 3 teams who are pretty happy. Teams who will not be so happy, unfortunately, are our teams who are in the bottom couple of places.
Hard Drop did manage to get inside the top 10, so that's
yeah,
decent.
So they moved themselves up, but Crazy, Intz, Rocket, those guys all went out pretty early as well, which is not what we're looking to see from them. Frantic RPG house fight. They did manage to clean up eventually.
They did manage to clean it up. There was a few compound crashes that did pretty well here. Red Cannons, they did lose one player in this
phase fight.
Yeah, it was a pretty long one. Red Cannons, they managed to pick up a player or two and then reset. As this Molotov did actually a lot of damage to the Red Cannons players. Knocked actually a few of them out. And it was their own one. So we got the side of Ace getting knocked out here by XG. XG managed to control the zone, control the circle, control the final circle too, most importantly. It did end just north of Roshog, so it did shift north, leaving some teams very vulnerable, rotating out of Roshog over the edge of the river. Game 1 in the books, XG top of the pops. Will they move ahead of Ace 1? I think so. I think they'll definitely overtake them. So that will be a new leader for this group, but they are still a very, very far way off the top 2 or 3 teams. 6-9. Brazilian Killers, they're looking pretty safe up the top there for the top 2 at the South American region.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're well into the triple digits at this point, as we do have Brazilian Killers almost approaching 150 points. So they're up there, they're well up there, but you know, there's still a lot of work. 3 games left to be played for the day, a lot of work to be done. Need to finish my sentences as we do have a look at the scoreboard from the game that was on Erangel. XG, 13 points, Chicken Dinner, or 13 kills, should say, Chicken Dinner, 33 points in total. Rush to Die, 24 points for 10 kills and a second place. Red Cannons, 11 kills, third place. So all top 3 teams coming out of that pretty happy with the kill count and the placement points. Below that, Batman with 5, they'll be reasonably cheery, but looking down the bottom here, things get a bit tough. The teams with 1 point, Crazy, Real, Critical Killers team, Rocket as well, not doing too great. Let's have a look at the overall standings. Everything's unchanged, apart from Red Cannons sneaking their way into the top 8 off 5 games, but everyone else has 8. So, I mean, they're well and truly safe, but if they can have some consistently decent performances, it doesn't even have to be great, but if they can have some decent games, they can push themselves even higher into this top 8. They've got 3 games essentially to play with just to grab some ranking points, and with no chicken dinners as well. Other changes, we have Rush to Die and XG sneaking up a little bit higher as well.
Interesting to see Rush to Die up that high. I didn't think that they were that high. We see Ace 1, Batman dropping down a little bit. They have only played the 5 games as they are in our lobby today. SvG Esports dropped down a little bit further. These are the teams that are a bit hesitant now. They need to get a reel on, especially Team Solo Safe, Killers team. They need to make sure they're safe and boost themselves up with the points. These are the teams that at the moment that will be knocked out if all continues. But
that's a big move for Intz.
Intz, you'd think that these teams, we've got actually 4 teams there stuck on 23 points. So
for Intz, it's 30 up to 26 is what I was trying to say. Really struggled with that. Brazilian Killers, unsurprisingly, dominating the kills leaderboard, given that they do have 75 frags as a squad. 2 players from them on 22. Very impressive stuff. Pretty much what we would expect from a team who has that many more kills than everybody else. But you never know. Over the next 3 games, we might have one team who's going to come out and perform almost as well, and they might be able to move their way into the top 5. But as it is, you know that if your team is both 20 frags ahead of a team behind you on kill points and 3 out of the top 5 kill leaders, remembering this is a 4-person team in every game, if you've got 3 of your 4 in the top 5, you're doing pretty well.
You are doing pretty well. We've got 3 players on 20 kills. They'll be very happy. They were compound crashing yesterday, but that is game 1 in the books for us here. We're going to have to take a short break. We'll see you right after this with more action from Vikendi.
PUBG Mobile Team Deathmatch. Anytime, anywhere, there is a better choice. PUBG Mobile Team Deathmatch. A quick game for those short breaks. There is a better choice. PUBG Mobile Team Deathmatch. Endless respawn, endless fun. There is a better choice.
One of their players, it is the bunny, who's found themselves on the floor in the snow. It's not where you want to be.
Now this way down. The play will be dropped here. Uzina, who will be dropped and will be finished off as well.
They have eyes on the Brazilian killers. They need to put some damage in there. They do. They start shooting at the same time. They manage to get one knock. The second player is very low, and they are just peppering them at the moment. This Brazilian killers player is not long for as well. Let's see if we can find his mate. Great.
Alright, that took a longer time than expected, but Mitad does get dropped. Paralyzed is right beside him, as he said, very low. But they turn back, missed. Fighting boss there on the ground, just trying to run away, and boss squeeze way in towards the hut, just to scare them off. It's gonna pop up. Sees them, waiting for the fire.
Fire again, he does manage to knock one. The second one is close by, they know he's there. He's gonna push in, and that is 6-9 out in 4th place. Crash after one of their players getting knocked. PD taking full advantage of that. A second player is knocked, and INF might be our next team going to bed. Oh, he drops down to 1 HP, manages to just duck around the corner. He's using that first aid kit. The last player from INF can't find him. He's alone in this house. No helmet to speak of. He's only got that hoodie on. There are 2 players alive, but that's it.
Welcome back to PMCO 2019. It's the fall split. We are having a look at the South American region once again, as we tend to do. My name is Brainstorm. I'm joined, as always, by Smash. Not as always, actually. I took yesterday off because I was sick. This wonderful man covered for me. I'm back, which means, unfortunately for you, you've got to deal with me again. But fortunately for me, it means that my voice is working, which, yay, I can talk, which I'm very stoked about. And that means that I can use my voice to do things like this, Ben, which is go to YouTube. Go to the PUBG Mobile Esports channel. Make sure you subscribe. We have done more integrated plugs, but, you know, we'll just throw that one in there. And additionally, as well, if you are watching this and you don't have PUBG Mobile downloaded, get on it. It's on the Google Play Store and the iOS App Store, depending on your platform of choice. You can go and play that. Preferably not now. We'd rather you stay here on YouTube or Twitch or wherever you are and watch the stream. But make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. You have the game downloaded in case you want to jump in after our broadcast is over. Stay here and be our friends in the meantime. But there you go. It's how you can get involved. So... yes.
It's actually completely free too. The app is completely free. The YouTube's completely free. So you're not losing anything. You might as well get into
entertainment.
Free entertainment. You gotta love that value, isn't it?
Oh, look, it's one of the things that still blows my mind about esports as a whole in 2019. Is
free entertainment. Yep.
It's ridiculous.
It's fantastic.
Either way, we are moving into our next completely free game. We are on to Vikendi, I believe, this time, which is the second time that I've seen Vikendi. I've seen it
a few times.
We're now at the Vikendi stage of our map rotation. If you don't know what our map rotation is, of course, we've got all the standard maps in PUBG. There are 4 of them, but every day we start and we finish with Erangel. So the middle 2 maps will swap out. We've been having Sandhawk and Miramar for the last couple of days. We now have Vikendi and Miramar in the middle. That will change out to, what do we got next rotation around? Sandhawk and Vikendi.
Yep, Sandhawk,
and then I think it's back to the start again. Yes, it is. So those are our 3 options. So jumping into Vikendi, it's a map I've only seen once. You've seen it a bunch of times now. Tell me about how it's been playing out the last couple of days.
Well, we've had some of the slower games on Vikendi as well. There's a lot of compounds on Vikendi, a lot of cover as well. So these teams have been using it pretty decently, as you can see now as the passing over. It's been pretty friendly for the circles, which is why the zones have been pretty slow and the kills have been slow. Lots of action though once it does kick off into those end zones. Lots of sniper play. What I like about Vikendi is the fact that it has the PP Bison, which is one of my favorite guns, the Bison. And it also has the G36 that teams have been using quite frequently. If we see one of these zones that gets a bit rude and pushes teams into a bit of an uncomfortable position, we can start seeing kicking off. I want to see one castle finish in this.
That's what I was about to say, actually. I want to see a castle zone, because that's like the classic battle royale. I mean, the ideal for me, as much as it would be ridiculous and incredibly hard to have, is a castle finish where like one team inhabits castle early and like the rest of the server is just storming it.
It would be a fantastic way.
It'd be ridiculous, but really fun. But we'll see. Either way, plane circle from southeast to northwest. Given that this is one of our medium-sized maps, I suppose. It's big. It's smaller than the big 2, but still bigger than Sandhawk. That's the one.
Still bigger
Had to remember which one's the small map. Bigger than Sandhawk. I think it's a 6x6, so it's in the middle. And ooh, that is not the castle finish we're looking for. It's a very southwestern circle.
Second option though. Dino
Park finish.
Dino Park finish. It has a maze in it.
We're on a wavelength. We're getting this.
We are. Dino Park finish. It has the roller coaster and also the maze, which is quite exciting as this player has just decided to jump in and out. Crazy.
I've done that before. If you're just spamming the get in button, and
then
hit it
get out immediately.
Hit it for a second too long.
Then your friend leaves you, and he's like, "No, I gave you a chance."
I mean, my friends do that. I don't think pro players would do that, but my friends absolutely think that sort of thing is funny. Which
I think it is hilarious.
Fair cop, it actually is.
Certainly is. This is Villa being looted up by the side of Real, who went down pretty early last game. If you are watching the VOD of this, you should leave a comment on our Twitters to tell us what team you think is going to win the whole thing, and what team is your favourite, at Smash Shouts and at Brainstorm Casts. Let us know. A bit of interaction would be nice.
Additionally, if you're a team in this game who is watching back these VODs, feel free to reach out to us and let us know things that we don't know about your team, things that we should, of course. We're both watching a lot of PMCO here, but we don't have much contact with the players, so if you are on these teams or connected with these teams, feel free to reach out, get in touch, give us some context, give us some backstory. It always adds a bit of life to the things we're saying, so we don't just sit here and make fun of everyone's driving all the time. But we're still going to do that anyway.
No, that's definitely going to happen.
Absolutely.
Because I am a perfect driver. At this point.
Oh, yeah, no, we never make mistakes. That's why we're here and not playing the game, right? That's how that works? Yeah, that's a very narrow angle to be taking, but Kaiser going to have to reconsider this one. Zeus has him locked down at the minute with that G36.
Now, the theme of this map is to change your cosmetics to the white cosmetics so you blend in with the snow. It looks like a few players haven't done that so far. This is actually Not what you want to be doing right now is the BTMT, the Batman, actually has the banana suit on. So he's ready for Miramar. Not so much for Vikendi. So he's not dressing for the occasion.
I would think a banana suit is dressing for every occasion.
I'm not going to a wedding in a banana suit.
That just sounds like a you problem.
It's definitely a me
you
problem.
Would go to a wedding in a banana suit. Unless we can interpret banana suit as an actual suit, just with bananas everywhere. And I think that would be appropriate.
I'd show up to work in a banana suit, though.
Oh, I mean, same.
That'd be alright, actually.
Do the next cast in a banana suit.
If we can find a banana suit.
Oh, God.
Might go shopping tonight and try to find one.
All right, you're on. We'll go shopping tonight and try and find a banana. I guarantee you we probably could as well.
Yeah, we could, probably.
Goodness me. Anyway, we do have a bit of a town, not so much fight, standoff happening here. Kaiser has taken a few shots at Zeus, but that's about it. Hopefully those guys will be able to avoid each other for now. The HD boys do have that town to themselves to loot through. RD, third place team out of this group at the minute, I think. Maybe even second out of the overall group. They've got themselves into a bit of a team fight at the minute with the Batmen.
Had a successful first game, I should say, as the first knock does come out. It is the Batman. The Banana Suit Bandit has pulled up and he's going to jump out the window for style points with the AK, spraying it down. That's the first knock and confirm. He's thirsted him. Nice play from the Batman so far. They were pretty consistent on day one of our group stages. I believe they knocked up a few second places. They are in town at the moment as we see Ace still continuing to fight. As looks like one of the Red Canids players has actually fallen down pretty quickly. Quite unfortunate for them as they had a decent performance in that game one. But Vikendi is a whole different kettle of fish for these teams. It's a pretty new map, not as experienced in the rotations. There's a UMP out the window.
Pretty decent range that SMG, and not going to do as much damage as you would want, even though a couple of bullets do find their mark. Doesn't do too much damage to Basito, or Basita, I should say, if I'm reading that name correctly at that range. Zone about to begin moving in a minute. And, ooh, speaking of UMPs not working at that range, Baba cops one in return from the exact player he was shooting at. So, never mind. Turns out UMPs will work at whatever player at whatever range they want. Yeah, he is going to go straight up and first kill.
There he goes.
Oh, doesn't use the SMG for it. Goes for the AR for the close range fight and the UMP for the long range.
Might have even been the barrel.
What a baller.
Pretty similar to the AKM.
Red Canids in a Jeep.
They were rotating around frequently last map. They were definitely the most distance covered. Wish we had the stat for that, but Red Canids, they were just moving around, rotating in. They managed to not get caught on any of their rotations though, which is a surprising thing because Erangel can often open up to car explosions, but they managed to get in and get out pretty quick as that Molotov is going to burn. It looks like it was a accidental Molotov as he's burning out completely. Maybe he's needs a nap.
Yeah.
Needs to charge his phone.
Yeah, we're going to just move on from that until we can get some additional context on what that was. And if we don't, then we're going to just move on anyway. It will look like Ace 1, though, is going to use the opportunity to crash this house. They might just all go charging upstairs. They'll do a quick check of downstairs to make sure no one's hiding in the corner. And up they will go with 3 players. That Molotov, though, is very nice indeed. And it will force them back. They're not going to get away from this fight just yet, though. They still want to go for it. And was that a Zeus player jumping down on the...
It was. He's outside.
RPG player even?
They know.
They do know about it. They've heard it, and they've been able to take him down. I like the idea. And there goes the other one. But again, they've heard that too. He does have the SMG, so they're able to run out. Actually, 2 kills for drops there. But unfortunately, he will go down. That will be, I believe, his team going out in 16th place. Indeed, it is ROCKETeSport. I like the attempt from them, but not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah, Team Rocket blasting off again out of the lobby, as they have not had the best start of today. Looking to get it working in the back end. This will mark the halfway point for these teams. They would have played 6 games after this, 6 of the 12. So if you are finding yourself struggling after 6, you're going to have to rethink things through, as Intz managed to pick up a kill and confirm it too. So lost a couple of players now out of the lobby. Lost 6 or 8, which is quite a sizable amount actually given the time that has passed. The circle has popped still and now is encroaching in. Dino Park is the hot spot to be. Tickets for that are selling out pretty quick, as you still need to buy a ticket to get into Dino Park, alright? Don't be rude. Don't gate crash.
Alright. Compound crashing? Fine. Gate crashing? Not so much.
No. The Dino Park workers,
we don't make the rules, we just tell them. Apparently. CTL boys all spread out in the snow, looking towards the SvG controlled compound. Not getting too much out of it just yet. Red having turned their attention now to this Real compound, shooting from the top of the hill, but it's at a decent range as well. So these two teams could be comfortable and just hang out and coexist at the minute. They are all inside the zone by the looks of things, so they should be just fine to stay where they are.
Moving around, there could be some contact here between the Red Canids and Real. Red Canids, they are only a 3-player squad as one of their players did get knocked out pretty early. Real had the worst of it in the last game. They got 2 players knocked out very quickly as a nade comes in. Red Canids know something is about in the field as they heard a Darcia pulling up. So they are very aware of what the situation is. G36 is pretty decent at this range. The nades are going to come out from Real. They're just peppering them at the moment, trying to clear some angles, clear some houses maybe, and push up a little bit further. The window peaks are coming in fast and hot, trying to get some information of any sort of kind. Just seems to be a bit of poking at the moment as the spray comes in, doesn't connect.
Not a whole lot connecting really in terms of the gunfire at the minute. Lots of teams looking for the damage, but not too much being found just yet. That's a very, very bright UMP from Natowski here. Ooh. Not exactly subtle in the snow. That grenade, unfortunately, going to bounce off the rock. Not do too much. The Real player sheltering behind it. That zone now starting to get a little bit closer to this circle. Not going to find anyone really in too much trouble. You can have a look at the map. We can see Ace are still on their way in. Can't see too much else at the minute as we're zoomed in on the circle.
And is
Red
that
Cannon's
UMP
still pushing us advantage as well.
UMP in action. Doesn't manage to catch much of anything. There's just a little bit of poking, a little bit of argy-bargy, a little bit of huffle and buffle.
A little bit of how you going.
A little bit of how you going. As Ace are the last team in the circle to rotate. They have come in off the north side. Looks like they're going to just plow into Villa. They've got a pretty open, as most teams are actually just central. There's a lot of teams just hanging out in the center of the circle. Lots of compounds, as I said, on Vikendi, lots of cover out. So you will see these circles be chock-a-block full of teams as we still have 15 remaining, crossing over the 10-minute mark. Crazy. No kills to their name just yet. They've got some enemies in their sights, though, so maybe that will change all too soon. Still no drastic circle movements. We will see with the next shift if we can get something interesting happening. Maybe we get some
park finish.
Well, at the moment, the way the teams are positioned, I think a Dino Park finish would be obviously great. We wouldn't see much action for a little bit, but a hard north shift could screw over everybody at the moment.
Could indeed. They're all pretty central to the circle. There's a bit of water left in this circle, but most of it's out over the coast where the circle's never going to shift anyway, so could pretty much go anywhere at this point. We'll find out in a couple of seconds here as the zone does get closer to touching the edge of that circle. Nearly there. Not seeing too much happening really at this point. All of these teams just waiting for that shift.
Wow,
and it's
that is so friendly.
Slightly southwestern, yeah. Like that's put Ace out of the circle, but they're in it again already. The only team that really bothers is HD, as they were very far in the southeast. And I keep wanting to say corner. Circles don't have corners, but I feel like if I say corner, you'll understand what I mean. And if not, then look, context clues are good. They're going to be able to come in late. No one will be behind them. No one would really even be looking at them unless someone wants to keep an eye on that crate. And looks like they want to go out to the coast as well.
Ace are coming in hot on a compound crash. It looks like they managed actually to find themselves a compound that nobody was in. So our map continues to be a mystery as how these teams have managed to fit into such a small space without running into each other.
Origami.
Well, it's got to be something.
It's the only solution.
It's got to be
or
some
can of
magic.
Sardines. What is in this crate? An AUG, an 8X,
again,
level
the
3 armor, and an adrenaline syringe.
8X not the most useful at the moment, the way the circle is. You could potentially use it, but every team is so congested at the moment. They're so stacked up on top of each other. 8X, I don't think you'd get the... You'd have to zoom in, or zoom out, sorry, to see anything.
Have to zoom in with your 8X.
Yeah, well, there is a 16. 16X.
Throws me back to the Battlefield days when they added it 40 times. And they were just like, hey, good luck.
Yeah,
and it was dumb. I think I used it for excess of 2 kilometer sniping when you just spawn camp, you're trying to hit people, and that was it.
So circle movement won't force the teams any further together, unfortunately for our spectating. But we do get to see how these compounds work and the angles players do use to hold them, as Real actually get a knock onto Crazy somehow. Some crazy player has decided to move around. This is a bit of a compound crash from Ace. They did find their own compound, maybe getting a bit greedy and wanting to claim another one, as both of those players will get knocked out pretty quickly. This is Intz, one of the teams that were struggling on day one,
Ooh.
claiming 2 kills from the Ace guys. So the Ace haven't started the day as hot as they would like, as they have 2 players down now. They have moved to a different compound, which, again, is free somehow.
It's what, 20, I think 27 towns our overlay said at the start of the map, so there's a decent amount, but still, there's a lot of teams inside this circle, and everyone seems to somehow have their own little bit of personal space. The HD boys have gone for a big coastal rotation. They'll be coming up just off the most western coastal road by the looks of things.
And for their sake, you'd hope that it does shift south-southwest, because they definitely need the points they can get. Crazy, again, taking a fight with Real. They Crazy are stuck in a bit of a ditch situation, so they haven't got themselves that hard cover, as they are getting knocked out. Wouldn't mind seeing Real push that just for a bit of entertainment value. Intz, 3 kills to their name so far. 54 still alive, 15 teams. Looks like these revives are going to come out. No aggression being pushed in, so it's all pretty quiet, as there is one Real player having a bit of a lie down at the moment.
I suppose you could say it's all quiet on the western front.
It is all quiet on the western front, most certainly, as there aren't many teams doing much of rotating at the moment.
I mean, as always with PUBG, if you look at the map when it's really zoomed out, it does look like all teams are on top of each other, but having a look at the more zoomed in map, you can see that every team is clearly delineated into their own little compound. The circle is going to shift central and north, so hard drop once again going to need to move, but this coast road is still free, so they've got a pretty easy rotation up there. Plus, they can head through that crate if they want to. It's uncontested. Grab themselves some free level 3s if they don't have them. Ooh. And more importantly, the circle does not push any teams out of their compounds.
Certainly doesn't, as it is being a very friendly circle at the current time. We have a squad actually trying to rotate in as WM. They're really trying to WarMaster trying to get in to a more central compound, as they think the town of Mavatra is not going to be their home for much longer. Crazy, again, they're stuck in that ditch. They don't want to be there for much longer, I'd assume. KST on the eastern side of the circle, sorry. As there's a little bit of movement there, going in cars, trying to push in a little bit closer. They might find a little ridgeline here. Ace are 2 players strong on the outer edge of the compound mess that is Dino Park, Mavatra, and Goroka.
Compound mess?
Well,
is that a pun?
I don't know, actually.
Compound mess, like compounding on itself?
Yeah.
But also compounds, like, I don't know. I don't know.
It wasn't bad.
I'll give it to you.
English language is hard, though. There's several meanings for several words. It's crazy, actually.
It is indeed difficult. Like, the hardest part is the slang and, like, context for certain words. I think it was... Maybe it was a Jeremy Clarkson example of saying that the hardest part about the English language is you can't call, like... You can't call a group of criminals folks, even though it's entirely accurate. It's not the correct word.
Huh.
It's like it's the word to describe a group of people, so it technically could be used, but it's not the right word for a group of people who don't do the right thing.
It's an interesting way to look at it in English language.
Look, the English language is weird. It's fascinating, but it's weird. Crazy still in this gully, hiding behind some rocks at the minute. Not really under too much pressure to move. Just like the rest of the lobby, really. No one's really done too much moving apart from hard drop. Does look like KST are moving around in the east, but only some light shuffling.
It is just
once again a very slow game, as there's so many towns and compounds concentrated around this area of Mavatra and Dino Park that no one really needs to do anything right now. There's still 15 teams in play, so it's not yet worth risking your team to try and eliminate somebody else, as if you lose it, you get 1 point. If there was 10 teams left or 8 teams left, then sure, maybe we'd see someone actually try and move and go for a risky play, because if you get the kills, great. If not, you still get a reasonable amount of points for placements, but even though we're relatively late in time to have this many teams up, we're early in game if we still have 15, if that makes sense. I'm not sure it does, but I know what I'm trying to say. Either way, long and the short of it is, I don't think we're really going to see too many engagements until this circle moves. And just for our sake, I hope it goes northwest.
Certainly.
Let's just move half of these teams out of this compound, shall we?
Another Groza and another 8 times found on the map. Groza, great for shredding cars.
8 times on ARs recently. It's
Well,
like the last 3 crates.
I think that 8 times is a pretty common drop inside these crates, these care packages.
Oh, yeah, but
Sent
chuck an
from the
AWM in there.
AWMs are pretty exciting, but it isn't the meta at the moment. Sniper rifles not the strongest.
Man.
It's another central circle.
Precisely 2 teams have to move.
KST and RD have to find their way inside the circle, but KST might have a bit of a struggle actually getting in, as a lot of teams have focused their attention now as they hear the cars move out or hear the movement coming in. That is Ace that have got a marker on them. XG as well, our previous game's winners. They are watching intently at how KST try and approach this. The north side, RD do have to move in. Eventually, there is one team in their way. They can rotate around them as either side is pretty free. So this is on board with KST now, who have the arduous task of trying to rotate in, as they've chosen a snowmobile, a appropriate mode of transport on this map. They have found Ace though. Ace are only 2 strong, so 1 knock from here. The nade is being cooked. It's actually just thrown it off to the next player he did see, so he's changed his adjustment. He's adjusted his throw very well, as it is now a 4v2 in this compound. Ace have decided to back off into a house
Ace
by
might
themselves.
even just give this up entirely in favor of trying to survive. Winning a 2v4 is not going to be the easiest thing for them, while they do have some buildings to play with and some pretty nice window placements to use as well. It's still a 2-to-1 man disadvantage for them, which is not what you want to see. A lot of work for them to do, as they were our top-ranked team out of groups B and D coming into today. No longer the case, but still pretty well up there, I should be saying. See a couple of knocks go out, and now KST going to swarm into this building together. 2 players from Ace to 5. They're already trying to fall back and stay together, but getting knocked down at every opportunity. 1 falls. It's traced down, and it looks like Ace may well be our next team out. They're trying to get this res, but they're not going to be able to find it. There's too much spray. The best Pasito can do here is try and 1v4, and he's actually just going to thirst the kill instead, trying desperately to do everything he can to get some teams some points before they are eventually eliminated. And we just lost 2 teams there.
Yeah, we saw RD, I believe, in the north take a loss too, maybe. There's 1 player up for them. So we lost Ace. Unfortunately for them, today hasn't been as consistent as they'd like. The last RD player is juking around, but he's going to get found out and put down. Down to 12 teams now. It feels like we just lost about 8 players all of a sudden.
Not sure exactly how many it was, but you know, we had a gunfight, which is good because this circle was looking to be pretty passive. Now, give me a big old western shift to Mavatra.
Oh, it's going to be an eastern shift, actually, completely away from where you've said, as the CTL
Look how many
guys...
teams still don't have to move.
CTL guys are dropping very low, though, so they're going to have to move a little bit, or a lot of bit. As HD have gotten pretty unlucky with these circle shifts, actually. They've been chasing them the whole time. They're the furthest
it's been favouring everyone but them.
Certainly has, as Loops decided to crash a car in. Now we're going to start to see some movement in. We could see some compound crashes, which will excite the viewers, as there will be action on your screens. A bike from Loops will push in. You might use that for a bit of scouting. It is quite decent, as there is a spray down now. This is Real on to Crazy, I believe. That fight has been going on forever and a day. They are still in the zone, so there isn't any real pressure for them to increase the fighting, but maybe they're sick and tired of each other.
Maybe. 10 seconds until the zone starts to move, so things starting to speed up a little bit now. CTL loaded up in their vehicles, going to get on the way. And they've actually decided to divert their path a little bit more north. They might be going past that crate, possibly, but no, they're just going to head straight into the circle instead. A couple knocks come in for the WM guys.
Straight onto HD as they tried to crash that compound. HD are getting the worst of that situation. Now they're bouncing towards the compound claimed by Intz. So they're just going through the gauntlet at the moment. They haven't been able to find anything as that Real Crazy fight still kicks off. 2 down on the side of HD. They found a ditch, but it's not very good cover, as the XG squad have eyes on them. Last player from HD laying down behind the car. Might be spotted as well, as he will go out to the car explosion. So that is HD out again in the 1-point category. They're not having the greatest tournament so far. The fall split has not been kind at all. Intz now with 3 kills and a good position. They are probably the most central to the circle, as XG, Intz, and Batman are looking pretty decent here in this game 2 of the day for the South American region.
that said, it's pretty hard to rule anyone out just yet, as we're 11 teams left and 39 alive, so it's one team with 3 players, everyone else at full strength. Of course, that's not... Actually, no, that is the only way that can work, isn't it? Yeah.
Not sure, but sounds pretty accurate to me, as I think that CTL team is the one with 3 players, as we saw one of them get knocked out and taken down. That's Critical Esports, I believe.
This is not the car camo you want for a snow map. It's very, very loud.
That's a...
And pizzery. Is it a pizza? I don't actually know.
It's camouflage of some sort, but...
Very loud either way.
It's a Miramar car, as we have seen.
Mirror car, as it's known.
Well, one of the Loops players had the banana suit on too, didn't he? So maybe they thought Miramar was the second map. They've misplaced it. As a compound crash comes in here, this is onto the squad of Intz, who have been set up in this compound for a very long time. This is going to be a rough one to make work.
That said, you'd really want to hope Intz can repel this, as they are also another one of our teams who have been inhabiting the bottom quarter of our leaderboard overall for the South American region. They're going to be wanting to move out of this and be able to repel it. Already WM have taken themselves a building and changing fire with his Intz player on the roof. It's Born. He will be able to get himself one. He's got a lot of people coming his way, but a Tommy gun, close range weapon, and a good opportunity to use it, spraying away, unfortunately taking the worst of the HP. His teammates not able to back him up at this point, has to fall away, try and play his life.
Though. There's a lot of players down in there.
Perfect.
He does get knocked out actually by a third party as well, so Intz getting third partied, and WarMaster Esports is going pretty hard in the paint here, as there's only one Intz player alive. A lot of WarMasters down on the top floor though. It looks like there's only one player alive for them either. Killer's team does go down in the meantime, staying on board with this WarMaster Intz fight. It's getting pretty hairy in there. There's still only this 1v1 essentially for this compound as the third party comes in. Yeah, this is SvG running into the mix, and that is Intz going out in 9th place.
Look at all these free kills they're going to come in and get as well when they go upstairs. There's 3 up there.
They're going to revive one.
They will get a couple of revives off. If they revive Trainer, they might actually get all 4, but no, looks like SvG will be here a little bit too quickly, and that is a lot of kills. That could have been Intz's. That's kind of a weird thing to say.
Alexa, please play Despacito for that one. That was so sad.
You don't want to see that. There's PP Bison coming out as well, as SvG are now getting third-partied. That compound has been a real hotbed at the moment. The circle shifts slightly away. Might actually push some teams out of cover now, but not just looking too bad at the moment.
This is XG onto Real on the northern side of the map. XG have 2 members who have pushed up pretty aggressively and 2 members that have stayed back, so now they have the information that compound is occupied. They will choose to push up and maybe try and claim it for themselves. They have to move in. The zone is encroaching pretty quickly. We have 3 hot areas at the moment, as we have 6 teams. We have two teams in each little zone having a fight of their own, as it is the Loops guys versus the CTL guys, the Real Gamers versus XG, our previous winners. SvG are facing off against SSD, or SS.
So many letters.
And there's so many acronyms to be had here.
Here we go. Now we've got a bunch of teams who are actually outside this circle who will need to move. SvG, SS, and LPS, I believe, will all have to abandon their compounds and get a bit of a move on. In the meantime, SG, I believe, have just knocked out Real, so down to 4 teams, all at full strength as well. This is a different situation for us. We don't normally have 4 full-strength teams in the final couple of circles, but here we are, and 3 of those teams are actually outside the circle. So XG, you can see them spreading out now immediately. They're going to try and hold this circle. They know they're the only ones in here now. Going to take the fight to everyone at the same time, and of course, as those teams fight amongst themselves, that'll help even more, as SvG are currently taking a fight onto Team Solo Safe as well.
They might get flanked here. Team Solo Safe are pushing in pretty hard on the back line. They have one player that's pushed up. He does get one of the players that has been left behind, gets knocked and confirmed. So Team Solo Safe splitting up a little bit, opening himself up for a crossfire as Duck goes down in the play zone. That's going to be a difficult res to make. Team Solo Safe now with this one player left alone. Duck will make it in unscathed, so he will be able to be revived. Loops Esports have a player laying on the floor, taking a nap at the moment. See if they can wake him up. SvG, they are encroaching on the zone. They are fanning out a little bit too to try and find as much information as they can, as they are pretty blind. XG, they could be on the back of a second chicken dinner if they keep this momentum up. They do have 10 kills as well, so it could be a big one.
I mean, yeah, the last one was pretty good for them too. It was 13, I think?
Yeah, it was a 13
kill chicken dinner, so there's still a potential, 10 more kills they can get if they clean up everybody, which is unlikely. It's rare that you see one team cleaning up everyone to win a chicken dinner, and we haven't really seen it yet with multiple teams alive, that it's just one team taking out the rest. But still possibility for a few more kills and probability for a few more kills here for XG if they are going to take that win. And they've done the right thing there by knocking out one of Loop's players.
That is on the northern side. It is one XG player versus the whole squad of Loops, actually. And it looks like he has been found out and knocked down. So that could be opening there for Loops to push in, confirm that kill, and get some territory. As XG have a lot of room to hold. They are trying to do it all at once, is holding every angle, holding every part of this circle, making it as difficult as possible for these teams to make it in.
And I guess that's the 50-50 you're playing here, is that you spread yourself so thin, you do have a lot of players who have to take 1vx situations, just 1v more than one. And that is difficult. But the upside, if you can pull it off, is that you can keep all these teams out of your circle.
Well, you put yourself in an unlosable position if you do pull it off, but they're not pulling it off at the moment as that player gets knocked once more. So that's his second knock. He's bleeding out pretty quick. It is confirmed as well as the player is spotted in the grass. One of the Savage players, or SvG players, just having a lay down. Paris gets knocked on the roof as well. This is starting to go pear-shaped for the side of XG. It's pretty difficult for them to get any sort of revives on their teammates as they are spread so thin. Loops is at the moment pushing in from the northern side of that circle. They did get gifted the next one as well. So now Loops has changed to my favorite for this one, as XG might be down to 2 players pretty soon if they don't be able to get Paris up. That's also going to make Team Solo Safe a little happier, as Paris was the player guarding them. SvG player gets knocked out by the zone as they are down and out now in 4th place. Team Solo Safe need to move. Blue is on the back.
They do indeed need to get a bit of a move on here as they will push inside the house here. Again, only 2 players for them. XG taking some damage as well. It's Loops who are in the position of power at the moment, and they do have the majority of their players inside the zone as well. XG, 2 players outside the circle taking a fight with Team Solo Safe. If they can win that, they'll be in a pretty good place to, well, really be happy with this game. They're already at 10+ kills. Not sure if they've managed to get any more or just some knocks. I think they'd be at 11 at least by now. If they can grab 2nd place with that as well, that'll be another good or another high-scoring game for them. That'll be in the 26, 27-point range. So they'll be happy with that. Of course, they will want that chicken dinner, but Loops right now are the ones in the better position to get it. Team Solo Safe down to just 1 player now with 1 knocked. It'll be a difficult thing for them to recover. And that confirm comes through for XG as well. So just piling up their kill count. Loops all snaking in the grass trying to get in here. And Yakuza, he's going to find the knock through the grass there as well. We'll look for this confirms. Actually, his teammate is going to go around for it, spraying all of the grass around, not trusting it. Paris will get knocked though. It's been one of the higher fragging players on this XG lineup, and Loops, I think, might just have enough to get it done here purely on the man advantage. They are surrounding these XG players very rapidly.
They are. XG at the moment only have 2 active, 2 alive. They need to get Paris up if they want a chance of this.
Spotting, by the way.
Yeah, it is quite nice,
He's
isn't it?
insane. He's in cover, but he's using the 3rd person to be able to see people that can't see him.
Last Team Solo Safe player is just hiding out. Might be going down now, getting shot at. That is him, Dunzos. As one of the Loops players pokes out to get that kill and opens himself up to some damage. Unfortunately, Yakuza on 5 kills, unable to thirst the kill, so he might be able to make it back to his team on the side of Loops. So it's a 3v4 situation. 12 kills on the board for the side of XG. There is about 9 on the side of Loops. So 2 of the higher kill counts in the game. A nice finish to the end of the game. Can XG make it a double chicken dinner on the day, or can Loops upset them and propel themselves up? Loops started the day on 20th position, so about middle of the pack. This win would go well for them, as they are starting to take damage from the zone, actually, as the Loops players. They've miscalculated their timing in. 3 of them are taking damage from the zone. This could be XG's win. This could be handled to him on silver platter.
I think it actually has been. Vigor here is going to go down to this play zone in a second, if nothing else. XG! They don't actually get any of the kills at the end. I think the play zone takes all 4, of course. You do take so much damage from that final zone. Let's see how many kills they finish up on.
13. So
13.
only 1
so
kill claimed.
Yeah, they only got 1 out of that 4, as the zone did ruin things for LPS there. Or LP. Nope. LPS. I was right the first time. Loops. Thank you so much. Either way, having a look back at Vikendi, XG, I didn't think they had that one. Everything was going against them at the end, but the zone did help them out a lot there, and they get their 2nd chicken dinner of the day back to back.
It was back to back, as we see game was that Batman started off pretty strong. They're getting some kills early on, but they couldn't make it into a top 4 finish or top 5 finish, so unlucky for them. But that finish was incredible, like mind-boggling. My brain is boomed. The XG had no right winning that game. Loops had 4 players alive. They were all inside the circle. The circle starts moving, and they forget to move with it.
Yeah, it just comes down to timing, because of course, the first circle, if you get caught in the zone when the first circle's moving and you're looting, not too much of an issue. You can stay in there and loot. It doesn't do that much damage. The last couple of circles really chunk down your health very, very rapidly. So you got to move in pretty quickly, and unfortunately for Loops, they were just reminded of that the very hard way. Of course, 9 kills for them, I think it was in the end, and second place. Still get a decent amount of points out of this. But have to remember what comes after first for the placements. I know it's tough out here, but it's still, I think, a game that could and should have been theirs if they hadn't gotten taken down by the play zone. But that's the way the cookie crumbles and the way the chicken dinner goes. It's XG who come away with it, and with a good amount of points to their name as well.
Yeah, Loops just mistiming their crawls there. Of course, the crawling speed is pretty slow, so the play zone was just moving a little bit quicker, so they needed to stand up all together, take a peek together, and maybe the teamwork just wasn't, or the communication just wasn't there for that moment. These are the points for the game, though. It's a big chicken dinner, 33 for Enxame Gaming, as Loops claimed second place. SvG had 11 kills on the day. That propelled them up into third for the points for that game. Team Solly safe despite coming third. Only picked up 1 kill, so they'll take 11 home, which is not the worst result for them. ROCKETeSport had a rough day 1, placing 7 points means they are going up. Intz and Crazy, these are teams that definitely needed the points. Hard Drop are the ones that are hard done by. Red Canids as well. They were the top of the pops for this group going into this round of Vikendi, but they couldn't convert it and keep going. Ace has had a quiet day despite the big one at the start. As we see, Enxame, they're motored up now, 103 points. They've got 2 games left. They'd need a big result to get anywhere near the leader, but they could propel themselves into second place in 2 decent games.
They absolutely could. They only need 25 points off 2 games, which is pretty doable from what we've seen so far. What other changes have we seen? SvG and Ace 1 will move themselves higher, so to the Batman. And every place that these guys move up in these early games, of course, they still have 2 more for the day. So this is going to make those teams who've already played their 8 games in Groups A and C a little bit nervous, as they're already starting to get pushed down, still with 2 games to go. If I'm some of these teams who've already played my 8, then I'm a little bit nervous about how this is going. Hard Drop are going to find themselves back in 32nd place, unfortunately. Crazy just above them. The bottom 8 has changed a little bit, though, so we'll have to see, keep an eye on how that unfolds, of course, throughout the remainder of the day. But, look, that's Vikendi. We still have 2 more maps to go. We've got a Miramar and then 1 more Erangel, and we've already had some pretty big changes up of the leaderboard with those 2 games down. So 2 more until we see where we stand after 2/3 of the games for the group stage, but 2 more maps for the night. We'll be right back after this short break with those.
where you want to be.
Now this way down. The play will be dropped here. Uzina, who will be dropped and will be finished off as well. That
They have eyes on the Brazilian killers. They need to put some damage in there. They do. They start shooting at the same time. They manage to get one knock. The second player is very low, and they are just peppering them at the moment. This Brazilian killers player is not long for as well. Let's see if we find his way into the grave.
Alright, that took a longer time than expected, but Mitted does get dropped. Paralyzed is right beside him, and it's very low. But they turn back, missed. Fighting boss area on the ground, just trying to run away, and boss squeeze way into the hut just to scare them off. It's gonna pop up. Sees them, waiting for the fire.
Fire again. He does manage to knock one. The second one is close by. They know he's there. He's going to push in, and that is 6-9 out in 4th place. Crashed after one of their players getting knocked. PD taking full advantage of that. A second player is knocked, and INF might be our next team going to bed. Oh, he drops down to 1 HP. Manages to just duck around the corner. He's using that first aid kit. The last player from INF can't find him. He's alone in this house. No helmet to speak of. He's only got that hoodie on. There are 2 players alive, but that's it.
Welcome back to PMCO 2019. We are halfway through our South American region for the day. My name is Brainstorm. I am joined once again by Smash. As always, we have just seen Erangel, our first of the day. As always, we have two. Vikendi. And we've seen the same two teams, or the same team, I should say, get the chicken dinner on both. It's XG who have been the standout thus far. And we do have 2 more maps to go for the day. As always, if you do want to keep up with all of the action from PMCO 2019, both from our broadcasts and from all the other broadcasts, the other casters, take all the other regions. You can, of course, subscribe to the PUBG Mobile Esports channel on YouTube to keep up with everything, and you can download PUBG Mobile in the Google Play Store or the iOS App Store, depending on your platform, if you do feel like jumping in and playing the game after you see XG get 2 chicken dinners back to back. So, 4 in a day. What are your thoughts?
Pretty unlikely, but it could happen. I mean,
agree.
this group has been a bit lackluster, to be fair with you. I don't think it's got any of the top teams. There's no Bastardos, there's no Brazilian Killers, there's no 6ix9ine in this lobby, so XG seemed like the dominant force to be reckoned with. So they could do 4 in a row. If they did, they'd go down in history, you'd have to think. Yeah,
we were chatting about this in the break. I mean, of course, I haven't watched as much Pro PUBG as I probably should have, but I would be incredibly surprised if it's actually happened in a big tournament before that any team has gotten 4 chicken dinners out of 4 games in a day. Of course, if that has happened, feel free to reach out. Our Twitters were on screen before, so let us know if there was a team that got 4 chicken dinners out of 4 possible, then absolutely, that would be cool.
Definitely want to know about that one. That's an interesting little fun fact to have.
We'll bring it up later. Might have to do a quick bit of research the next break. Either way, we do move into Miramar now, where we'll have, well, XG looking for another one if they want to get their 4 out of 4. And look, I think it's unlikely. But
I think it's
that's
really
the storyline
unlikely.
we can look for, right?
Yeah, I think it's really unlikely, but the fact that they've been so clean today, they've been 4 in the last circle on Erangel, 3 in the last circle on Vikendi. So, I mean, they've been consistently staying alive and giving themselves the best opportunity to put themselves in this winning position. As we see Miramar, one of the favorite maps, it's a beautiful big boy, and it has some nice compounds, lots of compound crashing here from Brazilian Killers. They went on a tear on this map yesterday. As we see the overhead of the map, it's got a big one. Plane, it is the sparkly blinged out version of it, as the players have decided that is what they're going to be dropping from today. The plane path, though, it is about a third up the map, going straight east to west, almost dead over Hacienda del Patron and El Pozo. Lots of areas still accessible. The Picado Road that does run south is pretty easy to hit, so there's cars all over that. That'll be the main rotation, or the main way of getting yourself down south if you do feel like looting Los Leones or Porto Paraiso. You get to Impala here as well. Picado in range, Monte Nervo also there. So it's a pretty safe plane, to say the least. I mean, there isn't much to cry about.
Look at all these teams going south, though. No one really wants any of this north side of the map. The majority of teams heading in a line straight down towards Los Leones. We'll have to see exactly where the circle is going to pop, but looks like it would benefit less teams if it popped north, apart from the few that have gone that way, but we'll see exactly where it's going to end up here. We do have a little bit of time before it pops up, as teams will be landing pretty soon, and Ace and KST look like they both went pretty much straight down from that plane. Didn't really fly anywhere at all, just dropped straight out of that sky to get on the ground and get some looting happening here. You do see these Ace players running around, getting a first couple of guns available. Of course, KST quite close to them. And the circle is going to be very western, has about half the teams in the lobby already inside it. And XG, our winners of the last 2 games, are still parachuting in.
Yeah, they're going for that long drop onto Monte Nuevo area. So that is more central of the circle. So if they can get themselves on the ground safely, there is RG or RD following them, I do believe. So if they can get themselves on the ground safely and get some weapons, they can bunker up in the center of the circle and have a bit of a break, have a Kit Kat, because they won't need to move for quite a while, as we see KST trying to rotate away from the side of Ace, I believe it is. Ace came into today as the top team in this, out of these 2 groups, the highest points they had, but they haven't added much to their total since then. I believe they've gone out in 11th to 16th both times, and without too many kills to write home about. As we see 2 teams occupying the same little city here, and is just west of Hacienda del Patron, the city there. So there is possibility for some early action to kick off, but at the moment is just compound looting and everyone just making sure they know where the enemy, or the closest enemy team is on board with loops, as they have decided to loot around the road. Maybe finding a car and rotating is the best option for them.
And as usual with the South American region, it's a slow start to the game once again. Actually, I've jinxed it. Naturally, I've cast as cursed it as soon as I say that. Real take a long-range fight with RPG here. Nothing too much gained from it just yet. They are safely inside the edge of the circle, just around the power grid sort of area, so nothing too drastic coming from their engagement just yet. Loops might have spotted a few of these players. They'll know there's at least one player in that smoke, because you're not going to leave a smoke there for no reason unless there's somebody in it.
No, not
that would
this
be
early on in
some
the game.
incredibly next-level mind games for this early in the game. So a little bit of info gained here for Security, this Loops player.
Is it mind games, or is it a waste of a smoke?
Well, I assume it was, actually shielding the player who was hiding in it.
Could be.
So probably useful.
Could be, as we have our eyes on the crater fields right now. In the circle, not really in the circle too well. As actually, this is not the crater fields. This is La Bendita, almost identical to the crater fields. As the crater fields, El Pozo have been abandoned. That northern side of the map there has nobody home, so there's lots of loot there if a team does want to rotate in and try and gamble on the circle shifting north. Of course, the circle has not shifted just yet. Quite a while before that happens. 16 seconds coming until that comes in, and it will be a slow burn as well, as we have all the teams on the eastern side trying to rotate in. That will be where the action will start to kick off, but you'd gamble on these teams that are already in the circle moving more west, more central. So the teams will all shuffle across one essentially, and I don't think there'll be any fights breaking out anytime soon, as we have one of the Real players taking a peek at that car. It hasn't moved, mate. You're not seeing things. As one of the Batman players has parked his bike in a...
Doesn't look like he can get on anymore either.
It's an efficient way to store a bike. They could try and ram it. But no,
Okay.
It's an efficient way to store a bike, storing it like that. Because it's about, human height. Yeah, so yeah, it did get rammed free by the buggy. Well, not the buggy, sorry, the combi van.
I was worried the combi was going to come down and squash him, to be honest, but looks like all is well.
No, they don't dislike each other that much.
Combi does what it wants, mate. It's not about
Yeah,
what you think.
there's no brakes on that. It's more looting and more passive gameplay coming out from the teams. They're just kind of scouting. Again, they want to find where the closest enemy team is so they can stay away from them, essentially, until the later stages of the game. South America has been the slowest region by far, as we see one of the bikes hitting some big air there on the side of KST.
Real stunt hours, that's what we're after. Is Red in their combi going to get a bit of a move on here. Look, I think it's a great vehicle. I know that's... I'm not going to say statistically, but performance-wise, it's not fantastic.
It's a bit of a tank, but...
I've just always liked combi vans as a thing, I suppose.
More of a fan of this Mustang. I like the ones with the top on, though. Not a fan of the convertibles.
For safety reasons?
Safety reasons, and it would just be annoying. Just having wind blowing in your face the whole time while you're driving, bugs getting in their hair. Got to keep your hair perfect.
I mean, mate, yours is always perfect.
Certainly is, and I do
seen
that
a
all
hair
myself.
out of place. Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
I don't think anyone would question that. On board with the hard drop boys as they run across a plane. No vehicles for those two, but they do have a combi coming through as well, so they can all squat up in that bus if they do so choose. Ace with a couple of vehicles as well, and once again, things quiet off the start here. The zone's starting to encroach. Intz, I should say, will find themselves stuck in it for now, but again, it's the very first zone. It's not going to do too much damage. The LP guys need to get a move out of Impala pretty soon as well, as it is a very western circle, but still time.
And on your screen, you see the live leaderboard as XG at the top of this group stages. They're at 103 points. They can parachute themselves up into the top 4, top 5 area. They are sitting in 5th. We also, in this group stage, we have Red Canids hanging out in this lobby. So, big game. They're still a big game away from that triple-digit point mark, so they'll be looking for that over the next 2 games. As the circle does start to move in, the teams are just running in, driving in, rotating in. There's not much to write home about at all. They're currently
just generally doing the thing.
Doing the thing where they get out of the blue, Something the Loops guys didn't get the memo about last game, unfortunately, going down to the blue. But
yeah, that was it's a bit of a lucky reprieve for XG, but nonetheless, they earned it. They got themselves in that situation. They positioned themselves well, so got to hand it to them. They did get the win there, regardless of whether they got the final kills necessary or not. As we are having a look at Hard Drop, our poorly maligned team Hard Drop, who just haven't had themselves a real good time here. Going to be doing some looting and building up on the old gear.
This is WM taking some shots at a vehicular as it tries to rotate in. They are doing some pretty decent damage. He does get a knock onto the KST guys. That bike is motoring away pretty quickly. Your aim must be pretty sharp to catch him. As the taps start coming out instead of the spraying fire. He managed to get a headshot landed there, I believe, doing 62 damage or something like that.
Yeah, he's putting a lot of pressure on these guys, and
so
they're not going to be able to go back and get their down teammate for the time being. That said,
KST have had enough of that.
They're going to put some shots into
really Ace as well on the other side of the mountain.
Third partying.
And
That's one knocked and stolen too.
Not going to let the WarMaster Esport gang get out without some punishment. They are in the blue just a little bit, and they'll move their cars now inside. But it is only the first zone, so it just tickles. Lets you know that it's there, but doesn't really do too much. As WarMaster are going to push for KST. Two of the players here, they've found an angle on him, but they do get knocked. One of the WarMaster players does go down. He needs to get the trade, but he's going to thirst him straight away, the side of KST. This player knows he's pinned down. Goes out in the open, gets sprayed down. WarMaster will be able to claim one kill here from their aggression. But they do lose a player, and they lose the player to Ace as well, so it's pretty rough for them, as he does end up finding the player eventually.
Got there in the end.
It was a long road for him.
Yeah,
it was about the journey, not the destination. It was KST
as well, and all of the cars copping a lot of bullets so far today. So if we look at the Real boys, or Real, I should say, all rotating together up over the hills of Miramar. Still pretty slow starts as we pass the 10-minute mark just there. The circle is slightly more central and western.
Certainly is.
A lot of teams rotating in still.
Actually,
where? Blink, what are we doing, man? One of Intz's players is still a million kilometers back in the zone, and
Real has managed to find Red and managed to get a knock onto them, but it has been traded out. This fight is going the way of Red at the moment. Red, one of those teams, they're sitting pretty high up on the points board. They'll be pretty safe. If they can have a nice big game here too, they'll push themselves up into the top 5. Peak comes out, the Real player gets tagged right in the face and will get pushed and taken out by that silenced AKM. Now there's only one Real player alive. He's about to get his teammate up, so that'll make 2. They might head for the van, but that van isn't going to accelerate very quickly, so it will get sprayed down. So Real on the run. Looks like their player is out in the open again, so this could be their third player dropping down.
He's got in the car and he's left his mate. He's going to get sprayed down here.
Car, actually.
His mate did.
Did he get in a car?
Yeah, there was another car there. His mate grabbed it and bailed and left his teammate.
Yeah, well, that's probably the correct play, though, from the Real player. Like, the chances of getting out both of those players are pretty low, so
absolutely,
now we've got...
Of course, it's one of those things where it's objectively the correct play, but you watch it happen just like, oh, all right.
Hate to be that bloke.
Rip teammate. Yeah, you don't have to make that call. We've got a couple cars entering into that warehouse over there, but not going to see if they get any action out of it just yet. Loops players here player, I should say, in a buggy. Suddenly tree. RPG want to push in here and try and clean up this crazy player if they can, and will in the end get it. It is a 1v2, so it's a pretty easy shutdown and kill for them.
Ooh, they are getting peppered, though, by the Red Cannons on high, and they will try and thirst that kill out too. Dropping very low, down he goes. Red Cannons now on a bit of a tear, as they have dealt with the majority of the WarMaster squad, and now having this line of sight onto RPG. One big game from Red Cannons would be very, very welcome here for them. As the side of Crazy need a big game themselves, as they're sitting closer to the bottom than the top. As this car is getting, this ute, truck, whatever you want to call it, pickup, is getting lit up, smoking now.
Evasive maneuvers inbound, and MZK will get away with his life for now, but probably would want to consider swapping into his teammate's car as the circle shifts and it's a northern movement. That's going to, it has most of the server needing to rotate.
And all of that unplayable area on the western side has been eliminated as well. That big cliff face there, you can't actually get up it. As we see a car explosion onto Ace, they've lost one member from that. So their day continues to be unfortunate as we have a VSS spray down here. This gun is actually quite powerful on mobile.
What are these two? There's still two Intz players over by the water treatment plant.
It looks like they're just hanging out for the moment. They are very far away from their teammates. Maybe they're going to go onto the north rotation and they'll have just a big 2-2 split. Could happen as we see an M249 being picked up actually by a player. That is very handy, especially with all these cars rotating in from the south. If he can perch himself up on a high ground and spray down, can be pretty easy kills as we are on board with Batman. They've managed to find themselves one kill so far, but they still have a lot of work to do if they want to get themselves up into the top of these groups. Ace is rotating north of them. Batman are inside the zone, of the El Pozo side of the zone. You would assume that it will shift away from El Pozo as it doesn't fancy going into cities at the late game. There's Ace, they are finding more and more resistance with every rotate they make today. Just hasn't been their day at all.
I mean, it hasn't been a lot of teams' day really so far. It's XG, of course, with both Chicken Thinners have done very well so far, but we've had quite a few teams going out in those bottom places with not really anything gained, unfortunately. And a lot of times it's been the teams that do need a bit of a pickup in the points, in the placings, in the standings. They've not been able to gain it. Talking about teams who need that, of course, Crazy, one of them. 0 kills so far. Placements have not been too kind to them either. They are one of those teams looking at a potential bottom 8 finish here, as this is a real rough one here for Team Solo Safe.
Team Solo Safe have the angle onto SRY there. We managed to claim a kill at least, but they are going to get the revives out, and it will be all okay for them as we see a little bit of a compound crash coming in here. This is 2v3, it looks like. It's going to be rough stuff as KST are pushing in onto the squad of RPG, who have lost a member already. They all are cleaning out this side of the map, on the side of the compound, as the RPG players are split up. So if one goes down, you'd think that it would be the game for them.
It's not looking too friendly for them right now in terms of the old positioning. KST looking to move in and try and end this as well. Still a bit of room to maneuver for these RPG boys. But you can see it's 3 against 1 in this first house. Drops across the way, not really able to support his teammates too much. In the meantime, XG get a knock onto one of those Red Cannons players with a grenade.
Circle actually centers onto them, but this is the fight that we've been looking at, the RPG versus KST fight. Popping off on the, I believe that is the western side of the zone. Oh, the southeastern side of the zone. They're going to be a bit struggling here as RPG might have been knocked out completely there.
They have been as well.
That is unfortunate for them. They'll have time to charge their phones before the next game, as those Intz players that did try that long rotate, they're still in the blue, and they
didn't even make it that far. They were still out to the east when they went down to the play zone, so that's unfortunate. They're both going to get confirmed by that, so not sure exactly what the go is there, but it didn't work out either way. Ace won with the player coming in from the west.
They are pretty split, though.
Might just spot out these Batman players in front of him. Circle getting a bit occupied now.
Certainly is, as we see the Red Cannons and XG are pretty central to the zone. Team Solo Safe have found themselves close to XG, so they probably don't want to be there for too long, as we see a run over by a car, actually. So that's something we don't see every day this late in the game. It's more car action as a car's explosion has claimed another victim, as the Batmen are rotating in past a lone ace player, I believe, so shouldn't be too much drama there. So more shots rain out. Most of the teams have made their way safely into the circle. There are only a few on the outside, a few players from, or a player from Ace, a player from Batman. Some of the SvG guys, as well as KST, need to find their way to the zone and inside it. As Intz continue to struggle currently, that might be them out, actually.
I believe it
might actually, no, they have one player up.
We have lost another team, so we'll have to see, but look, it's not looking good for them. Solo Safe getting some shots into KST, but not able to convert anything just yet. XG, the heroes of the past couple of games, still in it with multiple players up as well, as Solo Safe actually taking a fight against XG.
They're very close, aren't they?
Not a team that I would want to be fighting right now in the form that they're in, but of course, if you can knock them out and end that streak early, then you might as well give it a go. That said, there's one player who was by himself. Lupita has been able to fall back to a slightly safer position. Now has a bit more reinforcement from his teammates.
Looks like an M24 on the side of XG. That gun does a hell of a lot of damage from long range, so if you can find some shots with that, it'll knock some helmets off. As we see the Batman and the Red Canids, two of your higher placed teams, getting into the action already. The western side of that zone is actually chock-a-block, same with the east. There's not much to the north or the south. SvG have found their way in, but they are accompanied in their compound that they are taking. Ace have one player hiding out in the zone. Just pot shots going off into the distance. There are pretty ambitious stuff.
XG fighting a war on 2 or 3 fronts at the minute, sitting in their compound, taking pot shots.
Well, that's a double nade from SvG onto Crazy.
Exactly that. That's not going to help them out. Crazy, of course, one of these teams we mentioned that does need the points. Need to get something happening here as we have a quick look at the rock pile. CTL and Loops having control of this one. Red now getting involved with the backside of this, or the third party, I should say, onto this team solo safe fight.
The engagement has gone on for so long that the circle has shifted, and it is Red that has to move. We have Team Solo Safe and XG smack bang in the middle of the circle as we see a spray down from
these
SG.
cars are about to blow up. This is going to suck like crazy.
They're so low. All 3 of the players piled in on top of each other. A car explosion does take out one. Jumping spray around the corner manages to knock one, but it's actually SvG that get traded on and go down. So Crazy managed to stay alive in the game. They only have 2 players, but they have eliminated SvG. SvG may be biting off a bit much for them. A bit more than they could chew. As more knocks go across the map, here is RD, who had a good first game. They are starting to chime into the kills now. CTL players get picked off. They are on the high ground.
Grenade.
It's quite powerful position. As he falls off the top, he doesn't take any fall damage. Somehow, miraculously, he's got the Air Jordans on, springing his landing, surely.
Got them anti-grav shoes happening. XG with another couple of frags themselves as well. Not really a team that the rest of the leaderboard needs to be padding their stats, but they are still fighting with control of the crates and the building up here. And there they go again. More tapping away.
That was Batman.
Actually might have nicked that one. Not quite sure about it. They'll be able to loot with the few players that they have dropped as well.
Yeah, they RD now on the move, trying to move up a little bit more. They do have a ghillie suit on them. That's one of the Loops players getting knocked out of the game. RD peppering them, but XG just have the ultimate position in this circle. They can see everything at the
everyone,
moment.
And they don't even look stressed about it.
No, they're not scared at all, as they are looking to the west at the moment in the sights, just peppering those teams coming in. They're favouring themselves very heavily here, RG, as we see more RD players going down. Here we get more XG action as they're getting knocks after knocks after knocks. They are up to 5 kills, but it feels like they've knocked half the lobby. As RG managed to snake themselves a kill onto Loops. KST, they're kind of just hanging out at the moment, facing off against another squad. They are going to be heard on this rotation coming through. I believe this is the last of the Crazy members, those 2 players that did survive. As Intz now getting involved in the kills, or getting killed themselves, as I believe they've just lost their last member of Red. As Red Canids has taken that out, they are on the northern side of the circle.
So we've reached our top 10. This is where the placement points will start to pick up as we go. Having a quick look at the current score, well, not scoreboard, a live board, I suppose. Hard Drop still with 4 up. So too XG, our champions of the last 2 games. Not surprising to see them in a position of power. Red with 3, everyone else with either 1 or 2. So
lost another
interestingly
team.
enough, Hard Drop are in one of the positions of power, which is not something we're used to from them. Hopefully they're able to sustain that into a better result.
That was RD, we just lost. Hard Drop have been improving today. They had a better day, obviously, than previous, but this KST fight is about to kick off as the jumping peak comes in. The spray comes around the corner. He gets taken out immediately. The Crazy player does wait for the trade, but he's too late on the trigger. Doesn't manage to get the trade at all. Well, yeah, that player is actually low, so he could drop very quickly as he does. The KST player picks out on half HP, gets taken down for it, as this is now becoming a bit of a mess for KST, as they were 2v1, but now they've turned themselves into 1v1, and the player is quite low too.
I mean, the biggest thing for me is just watching how XG are winning every duel they take. no matter what's going on.
Yeah, you're almost not surprised, are you?
Pretty much every single 1v1 fight they get into at any range, they are winning. Crazy trying to make something happen here. And MZK might have just nailed the timing on that. That's going to be a team gone there for Crazy. That's much better from them. This is their last player, of course, here. MZK has lost the rest of his team, but if he can get himself a couple of kills, he already has 3. There's 5 on his team. This will get them a couple of well-needed points here. XG. They are hitting everything as individuals right now.
The second place from last game. Get taken out by XG once more. He's got 5 kills on one of these XG players now. There is a lot of kills on their scoreboard. I believe they've got 8 as a team. Red Cannons are tying them, I believe, with 8 as well. So there's a lot of killing going on in this lobby. The last player from... Well, the players from Hard Drop are actually facing off against Reds at the moment, Red Cannons. There's lots of action on the southern side of the map. There's only that one snake left, which is Crazy. Batmen have 2 up. There is 3 on the side of Red Cannons. And Hard Drop and XG, they've got the full complement of members. As Hard Drop, they're going to be looking for a big finish here. Hopefully, for their sake, they can get into the top 3, as they have made it into the top 4 as the last member. Crazy drops down. Red now putting some pressure on XG. It feels like they are the only ones. They are the only hope of dethroning XG in this current situation.
I mean, do XG ever really look under pressure, though? They've got some shots coming their way, but pretty much every duel they've taken so far this game that we've been seeing, and they've been in this compound for quite some time, every duel they've taken, they have won. Problem for them is now that the zone is starting to shift away from them, and they will have to move a bit here, but if they continue to win their engagements, they'll be okay. That said, the Batmen are moving in on them. It's only one player still up for that team, but anyone who can do damage to XG, I think, will be greatly appreciated by the rest of the lobby, and they do actually get a knock there as well onto one of the XG members. It's Hard Drop who have the most players up. That said, didn't actually see how many kills they have, but I don't think it's many.
XG are in a really rough position now as one of their players do end up dropping. There is no hard cover here for them. They're getting peppered from the side by the side of Hard Drop. So Red Cannons will be very happy for Hard Drop for helping them out. There is only the 2 kills on Hard Drop at the moment, but they could clean up this XG squad and make it a 5-er. As XG start to get some knocks onto Red with the DMRs. They are fighting on all fronts, as they have been the whole game.
They're fighting a war of so many fronts, as you say. And
wow, what a circle.
They're just not even bothered by it. The circle shifts away from everybody, so everyone now out of position. Red with the shortest distance to move, but still everyone has to. And XG, the aim is just so on point. Those shots just barely missing, but HDT's going to start to help them out as well. Hard Drop, I should say, just HD. Mixera, is he going to make a play for this crate right now? He is indeed. We'll have to see exactly what's in it, but it's fresh level 3s. I think he might have just grabbed the armor out of that and then bailed.
Yeah, it's not a bad play, as we see more Red Cannons action coming in.
Yeah, he's feeling it. He's just grabbed the armor and he's gone to fight him straight away. Hard Drop are getting in on this Red roster as well, and I think all of a sudden this might be a game that's going to go the way of XG once again, as I do favor them in the fight against Hard Drop, just given on the performance we've seen from both teams. Hard Drop do have that player advantage though, and XG need to find some time to get a res off.
This rotation from XG is pretty rough. They do manage to get 1 kill onto the Red Cannons, and that is their last player waiting in the smoke. The shots rain out here. XG can hear this Red Cannons play, the last player. Mix0 is going to push up, get the spray down, does see the player, and eventually takes him down. So now it is a rough situation. Oh my god.
They're going to do it as well. I knew it. XG, I favor them in the duels against Hard Drop. They've chosen to leave their last player down for a very long time, and it's Mix0. 8 kills this game. Doing it all. It's XG once again. I did favor them even with the man disadvantage. You thought they'd get it done, and indeed they will. It's XG
did he end up
with their 3rd chicken dinner of the game. 9 kills for Mix0. Great play from him, and at the end there, I love the confidence on that. Crashes the crate, grabs the armor. I'm not even sure he grabbed the gun. He was there for long enough. Just looks like he did just refresh his level 3s and then go on the offensive immediately. He was clearly feeling it with that performance. It's a 13-kill chicken dinner again for XG.
Wow, that's 3 in a row for them now. When can someone stop this team? Someone hot drop them. Put the brakes on it. They're running away with this at the moment. We thought that nobody could catch the Brazilian killers, but XG are definitely putting in a show for it. They might even be up near them now with a 30-plus point chicken dinner. It will be in Kui for sure, as this is the highlight. We saw some early action on It was Ace getting a kill, and this was the push as well. They ended up getting a trade kill here, so a very disadvantageous position they put themselves in. This is more action on the map that was Miramar. Cards going off. It was the late game that showed the most action with the Red Cannons and XG having crossfires on pretty much all the teams. We have KST pushing around, getting some knocks finishes. This was a overextension, I believe, from the boys here. This was a fight that SvG had no right to lose, but they ended up going down. Some unfortunate timing and crazy managed to get away with it.
I mean, that was one, that whole game, I sort of felt like XG had it the whole time. They were in their compound for so long, they were taking fights everywhere. Mixera, of course, was fragging out, and that always helps when you have one guy who's popping off, but they had so much freedom to just shoot at everybody, and even at the end there, when they had 3 players with 1 down, potentially could have ended up being 2 if they decided to leave it. I still favor them against Hard Drop because the aim has just been so much better for these XG players, and we've seen that in their results. We've seen that in where Hard Drop have ended up in comparison to them as well, so look, it felt kind of inevitable, even though the odds were stacked against them there. And now we actually are in with a shot of having a team get 4 in a row.
There is 3 in a row for the day, or 3 on the day for XG at the moment. Red Cannons, they come into second on the points just because of the sheer volume of kills they did pick up. Hard Drop, a much needed second place, but they only get 3 kills for it. Intz got some 3 points there, so that's decent for them. But some of these teams, they need to pick it up today. ROCKETeSport has had a bit of a shocker. WarMaster, not the most... Oh, but they're up to second place, and they are knocking on the door of Brazilian Killers.
Well, that's the thing, right? Brazilian Killers have had tons of kills. That's why they're in first. XG are doing pretty well on the kills front, sitting at 50. That means they're in 3rd place for kills right now. But they've got 3 chicken dinners, 86 placement points, just 1 behind 6-9 in terms of the placements. So that's doing pretty well for them. Loops and Batman both go upper place. The rest of the leaderboard start to shift downwards. Let's have a look and see how the bottom 8 is looking. But I don't think we'll have had too many drastic changes. Crazy did have themselves a much better time, as did HD.
Hard Drop
have actually got themselves out of the bottom 8.
Yeah, they've been motoring up the rankings with that second place finish they did find there. So that's pretty good for them, but they need to keep going. They're still in the danger zone, I'd say. Intz, WarMaster, Crazy, they need to get a wriggle on too. ROCKETeSports has been stuck in this position for quite a while, but XG might have broken 100 points in 3 games, maybe. They got a 33 that game, as we see Mixera enter the leaderboard for the most kills. No surprise there. He is now 3 behind Mitek on the Brazilian Killers and Center B.
Isn't that crazy though for Brazilian Killers? They've got 3 players in the top 5. I think they have 75 kills so far, and that's what, 64 between 3 players? So that's pretty huge. That means the other guy's got 11. They're all fragging really well, but now, unbelievably, the story we're telling is that we might have a team getting all 4 chicken dinners today. It's XG who have been in the driver's seat all day. We're going to see if they'll be able to replicate that feat on Miramar and get themselves all 4 wins right after this.
Snow. It's not where you want to be.
Now this way down. The play will be dropped here. The Cuisina who will be dropped and will be finished off as well.
They have eyes on the Brazilian Killers. They need to put some damage in there. They do. They start shooting at the same time. They managed to get 1 knock. The second player is very low, and they are just peppering him at the moment. This Brazilian Kills player is not long for as well. Let's see if we find his way into Grey.
Alright, that took a longer time than expected, but Mid-Tech does get dropped. Paralyze is right beside him, and it's very low. But they turn back, Mid fighting boss area on the ground, just trying to run away, and boss squeeze way in towards the hut just to scare them off. It's gonna pop up. Sees them, waiting for the fire.
Fire again, he does manage to knock one. The second one is close by, they know he's there, he's gonna push in, and that is 6-9 out in 4th place. In Crash, after one of their players getting knocked, PD taking full advantage of that. A second player is knocked, and INF might be our next team going to bed. Oh, he drops down to 1 HP, manages to just duck around the corner. He's using that first aid kit. The last player from INF can't find him. He's alone in this house. No helmet to speak of. He's only got that hoodie on. As there are 2 players alive, but that's it.
if you have just joined the broadcast, you might have noticed something from our little wait screen there, and that was that it's XG who have won all 3 games that we have played so far today at PMCO 2019. I'm Brainstorm, I'm joined by Smash. We're having a look at the South American region so far, and it's been a story of dominance for us. If you have just joined us, by the way, and you've missed the rest of things, well, make sure you head on over to YouTube and subscribe to the PUBG Mobile Esports channel so that you can keep up and not miss things like one team getting 3 and potentially 4 chicken dinners in a row.
4 chicken dinners in a day. You can feed the whole family with that. The whole squad's looking for the feed. Get 1 for each player. Send them home nice and satiated, nice and full.
Equality. That's what we like to see. And of course, if you do want to jump in and play some PUBG Mobile for yourself, you can find it for free, completely free, on the Google Play Store or the iOS App Store. There we go. That's what we were looking for. So, I mean, really, that's the main thing we're talking about, right? It's XG looking for 4 wins. That last one, I wasn't sure it was going to go their way, but despite being in a disadvantaged situation, they did manage to pick it up. So, look, given how they've been playing today, I think their aim just looks to be a class above the rest of the teams that they've been fighting. We've just been getting so many clean eliminations, knockdowns, and, well, both knockdowns and confirms, I should say. Mixera got himself, I believe, 8 or 9 kills last game, so I think they'll be pretty happy with how that's all going for them, but we'll just have to see if we can indeed have a team get 4 chicken dinners in a day. We do head back to Erangel for our final game.
We do. It's where they dominated at the start of the day. Red Canids have also had a decent day, to be fair. They've moved up the rankings quite well. And Hard Drop, they've got themselves off the bottom of the board. They're up into 24th position, I believe. So they're not out of danger just yet, but they're well on their way to getting out of there. So good improvements from them. That's the first team I've seen that's really taken the game by the scruff of the neck and actually shot up from the bottom of that leaderboard. Yeah. Most teams that have been at the bottom of the leaderboard from day 1 and day 2 have kind of just stayed there, whereas the Hard Drop fellas have managed to change things up. Maybe they did some VOD review, maybe they did some strategy, and they've managed to find themselves in a decent position.
They have indeed, and they haven't had the most explosive games. Like, there hasn't been any chicken dinners or any, 10+ kill games. I'm not even actually sure they've had a 5+ kill game, but it doesn't take a whole lot to move you out of that bottom 8, as it has been a pretty rough one for those teams down there. So you only need a couple of good games to really push yourself up. That's what they've had so far for the Hard Drop guys. We'll see if they're able to continue. Once again, we do have the sparkly plane and a line that goes from the west down to the southeast over the military base. And that leaves a lot of the top of the map potentially a bit out of reach.
It certainly does. The Pubg not in range really. Kameshki, I mean, those are loot zones you don't often see players go for. Could see some action in the military base. We'll have to watch out to see where XG try and drop. Usually it is around that 50 mark, so they can get that town to themselves. That's a good start for them, as there is a lot of loot in there to be had. XG now just dropping out of the plane, heading, I believe they are heading east. So the eyes will be on them for this game, really, as they have to get this to make it a perfect day, essentially, as they have been on a tear. Almost 100 points. Surely they're at 100 points for the day. If they got, what, 13 kills in each chicken dinner. If they got around that mark, they'd be at 99.
Very close. We'll have to have a look and see. Well, actually, no. Hold on. We can check what their points are at the start of the day right now. I will do that while you talk about loot zones.
Well, the loot zones are going to be pretty standard for now, actually, as we have the Red Canids closing in on the military base with SvG. It could be a little bit of a contest down there, actually. The circle has popped. It has gone, middle of the circle is about Rozhok, just west of Rozhok, as the first knock has come down with a shotgun. That's Intz doing some damage already. We've seen KFC get into it as well. These last maps of the day tend to have a lot more action than previous, as we see more action go on. Intz will get caught out. There is a lot of action already, and this is really rare for South America. So KST are on the board. Another one comes in. Intz getting knocked out. Still have 16 teams in the lobby, but we've already lost, what is that, 6 players?
Something like that. That's way, way faster than normal. For reference, by the way, we'll have to have a look when the scoreboard comes up, but XG at the start of the day, 37 points, 26 from placement, 11 from kills. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see how they're going when we do get the leaderboard up a little bit later on. And I mean, they were in the 130s. I don't think they were quite at 137, but
133, I believe they were.
133, 134, something like that. So they're very close to a 100-point day. And given how they've been playing, I'll be very surprised if they don't hit it. Even if they don't get another chicken dinner here, they only need what, four or 5 points probably at the most to pass that 100-point margin, which is the biggest individual day I think we will have had so far.
They have chosen the farm loot area just south of farm, as well as Cold Zero, oh not Cold Zero, Mixed Zero on the road at the moment, just looking for a car, maybe looking for a car or looking for a house to loot, as there's more knocks going out. Stop this, boys. RD getting a player knocked down. They're not going to be too happy about that. They've had an okay day, actually, RD. They found themselves in the late game a few times. Unfortunately, it hasn't just gone their way, as that's KST dropping a snowman on this body, and they are looting, not teabagging, so don't be offended by that.
I know what they're doing, and it still catches me off. Like, once every sort of 10 times, I'm just like, guys, nope, that's a mechanic.
That's a
you
mechanic.
do that. That's fine. It's Team Solo Save taking a bit of a firefight here with RPG, which is that Rocket?
Yeah, I think it might be Rocket.
I think so. Have to have a quick look and check that I'm not incorrect on that one, but we'll make sure.
Needless to say, it's been a day of one team and one team only.
Yep, that's Rocket. Cool.
There is splitting across the map. The Intz players that are alive, Intz Logic is in SvG hanging out. He is alone for so much distance. There is no player anywhere near him, really. The closest player is in Rozhok. So SvG to Rozhok, you can imagine the distance there as we see this fight continue on. It is in South Georgia Pole, a place that is in the zone currently. So there isn't the most urgency towards this fight, as they do actually manage to get some knocks going out for Team Solo Safe. I would like to see them push on and be aggressive here. It is the last game of the day. Teams tend to get a bit more impatient, a bit more aggressive when they are so close to the finish of the day. Maybe they feel a bit more pressure, given they haven't had the best day, so they try and make something work that usually they wouldn't go for.
See if that is the case. It does seem, once again, that things have slowed down temporarily, at least here.
Team Solo
Still
Safe
Solo Safe are, right in on this fight with ROCKETeSport, and they do have this flank happening, as you've said, over here on Duck. He's trying to sneak his way around, find a better angle on the players inside this building. A couple of teams made their way down to the military island as well to loot, so there'll be a bunch of free gear for them to claim down there. Doesn't look like there'll be any squabbles over it. They are all separated enough.
So the Red Cannons have probably been the closest to dethroning XG. Obviously, that Loops squad had the game in the bag until they just mistimed their run on the final circle. So for me, it's going to be the big fights are going to be if XG and Red Cannons get into a bit of a brawl, or maybe Ace can pick up some of their former form and show us something in this last game, because they have been quiet, and we didn't expect that, but all 3 games so far, they've gone out pretty quickly with no kills, or less than 5, so if they can get something together at the back end of the day, maybe upset XG. I'm looking for the upset. I don't want them to go 4 for 4.
I do. I mean, I do and I don't. Like, I want some other team to take the throne away from them because that'll be fun. But also, to get 4 games out of a possible 4 is something we're not going to see very often, I don't think. So, it would be fun to see just for that aspect of things. RPG have taken a knock here, but they'll be able to get the res pretty safely. This fight does look like it's become a bit of a stalemate between these two teams.
RPG have been knocked a few times, actually, so they're just still peeking this as that nade goes in the window. Doesn't manage to catch the players in there, though, so... Actually, a smoke grenade that bounced out of the window. No, it's landing this, so that's fine.
No, I think at this point they're trying to disengage. They're just smoking off the windows they can be shot from. Or they're trying to not disengage. They're trying to aggress, and they want to get some cover.
Looks like they are trying to aggress, as we see the first player. No helmet coming in.
What do you mean? He's wearing a helmet right there.
Yeah, it doesn't block bullets. That's all fake. Bit of plastic.
You're right. You're right. It's all cosmetics, that one. SS, though, are starting to encroach upon this building. Lots of smoke, and you can see how Rocket having to maneuver around.
He's trying to get up on this
different
roof
windows, trying to get anything else that he can. Wants to get up on the roof. That would be an angle, I think, that this Team Solo Safe guys are not ready for, but not going to be able to find it. Instead, just going to crouch at the top of the stairway here is Baba and hold that. And the smokes have gone, so now things not so easy for Team Solo Safe. That nade... Thought it's going to be judged perfectly, in fact...
It's just there, and it gets perfect. Lands right on his head, so that's a good knock from
well. It was nowhere getting away from that.
And they might choose to get aggressive here. It could bite them, actually, as there are Solo Safe players waiting for them to exit that building. as they start pushing in now, chasing the kills. The stairwell is being guarded. Mini Uzi spray down can be quite potent at this range. Solo safe being very cautious. They don't want to overcommit here. They do have one player knocked out from that aforementioned grenade. They aren't choosing to go get him back up, as rotating to go get that player back up might spell the end of them, as the nade comes in again to re-knock the player. So there is lots of low HP rockets at the top of the stairs waiting to be collected.
That said, the more that Team Solo say delay here, the more time that Rocket will have to just get that res off for a second time. And as for their own players, they don't know anything about it, but they will now go for the push, getting in very, very quickly indeed. They're going to get the knock. Still one player to find out the balcony, and they're all getting lost in the smoke. It's a bit of a mess, but it will be ROCKETeSport that we say goodbye to in 16th place on Erangel for our final game of the day. Team Solo safe pulling one over them in the house fight.
Certainly did, but there is another team on the way into that fight, so they might get third-partied or might have another wave of enemies as Crazy is approaching them pretty quickly. But that is Team Rocket, or ROCKETeSports. They've had a rough day. They've been out pretty quickly on all occasions, so they're going to be fighting for survival in the next time we see them in the last 4 games that they have. Unfortunately for them, survival looks pretty unlikely, as the circle has centered in onto the Watertown area, just to the left of Roshawk. That's an interesting area to go. There is a big bridge there that the teams will have to cross and make their way through. Ruins is about bang smack center of the circle. So a Ruin circle would be quite interesting to play out. South George is still in the circle, so there is still a little bit of a reprieve for Team Solo Safe as they collect the loot they've earned. Logic from Intz is still in Severny, counting his lucky stars or looting up. Don't know what he's doing at the moment.
Do we have both real and red players going for a watercross hit? It looks like they've both got boats though, judging by how fast they're moving. So we might have a little bit of a boat-borne battle down there, but it looks like those red players have just about made it to safety, and Real will not be chasing.
Most of the red players are, as you can see now on your screen, actually on land. It's just the 1 or maybe 2 players in that boat. So they've made themselves a pretty decent run into the circle. They will be wary of Real behind them. XG, if we can find them on the map, they are pretty much smack center in the circle, as you would expect. As we now have some fights breaking out. That might be one of the XG players actually getting knocked down by the side. Yeah, it is. So one of the XG players has been knocked and left. So that's not the best start for them, as Ace, the team I called out pretty much all day for not being at the level they should, will find one of the XG players, and that puts a dampener on their chances of going 4 for 4.
Now you're the one doing the caster's cursing, mate. You've called them out.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it looks like they will at least suffer that one loss. We'll see if your psychic powers will do anything else to XG throughout the course of the game. Jumping on board with CDL. We've got a couple of cars rotating in. Looks like they're going to go compound crash KST. Nope, they can't. One car commits to it and the other one cancels. Alrighty.
As soon as they hear those shots rain out, they try and run
cancelled. All right, never mind.
For the hills.
I thought one still crashed, but they all get away in time, moving over towards the ruins. That'll leave KST with all of their cars and their buildings still intact and left to their own devices. Real getting into that circle now from the south. Still Logic from Intz is up north, and
the WarMaster as well coming in from Yasnaya.
Always seems to be an Intz player just off by their own, left alone.
Just hanging out. Solo players, as we see a crate picked up here by the Loops Gamers. That's 3 level 3s all round for him, so he is a bit of a raid boss currently. Didn't see what weapon he picked up, but I'm assuming it was an AR by the reload sound.
We'll have a look when we do get back onto that player, but for now, things once again slowing down as we head towards the 12-minute mark of this game. Not too much really taking place after the initial couple of fights. The circle hasn't really forced anyone in anywhere.
Pachinki is still in the circle, but the teams are choosing to try and stay out of it at the moment, as it is quite unlikely that it does hard shift south twice to end there. Possible, but not likely, as everyone's pretty much camped out at the ruins or the edges of the ruins. There is a lot of deflate there, a lot of hills to play in, so teams can be pretty safe. But once it starts kicking off there, you wouldn't expect it to stop, as we see the A Sky are starting to push out now. KST are in their sights. Getting a bit of information as they're just snaking around in the grass. New play zone has popped and Pachinki is in it. In fact, it is gone pretty much as south as it can go. Ruins has been eliminated. These ace guys are just on the northern tip of the circle. So they are still in a decent position. XG will have to move, and they own their cars quick, smart. They might have to full send it straight into the middle of the circle where the side of CTL will be waiting for them.
Still a couple teams grouped up over in the west. Looks like SS Crazy and one other roster I can't quite make out buried under all the names, but there's a few different colors there. Still have this Intz player rotating in very, very slowly with the zone from the north. Everyone else starting to get into that circle now, pretty much. NCWM still rotating out around the eastern side. Real coming into the bottom of the zone now. Pachinki still pretty empty for most of these teams. Red Cannons starting to take some pressure in there now, but not too much found. And in the meantime, on your screens here, Ace and KST still with a bit of a Mexican standoff going on. Yeah. They've got each other locked down at some decent ranges. Crazy and SS now starting to get into it. And it's actually Crazy who have come out the better against Team Total Save so far.
Well, the team of SS, Team Solo Safe, they rotated earlier than the team of Crazy. And Crazy just kind of waited until they got into those cars and then started just picking them off. And as we see SvG getting a knocked player. That's not what you want to see at the start of a team fight. He's out pretty far as well, so he's going to need some smokes to pick him up the side of the War Monsters, I believe they are. WarMasters, they push up, trying to confirm these knocks, maybe get a bit aggressive. It is the last game of the day, so the aggression does come out thick and fast from these squads as the Solo Safe members are getting finished off by that zone. I believe they managed to get one player out of dodge, but he's still in the blue, rotating in late as the Intz player is now rushing into the Crazy player at the top of Everest.
Oh, goodness. That's not exactly an ideal place to be, and they appear to be chasing each other now, which is interesting. We'll have to wait until we can get a look at exactly what's happening over there, but okay, it appears Crazy player's giving up the chase now. Logic from Intz will be able to go and move in his own free time.
SvG have been knocked down to one player in the field of south of Pachinki. So they've been chased out by WarMaster and 3 kills have been collected. As we see more teams choosing to re-rotate, trying to readjust their rotators. We have got the Red Cannons in Pachinki. The teams to watch at the moment are the Red Cannons in Pachinki. We've got XG, with only 3 strong. They've found themselves a nice place in the middle of the circle. Ace at the top on the high. They are dealing with 2 squads at the moment. So they're dealing with the Batman and KST. So if they can come out top of this fight, they will collect a few kills. As the circle has shifted towards Pachinki, but not quite on top of it. Red Cannons will have to move out of their zone of Pachinki. XG are smack bang in the zone still. They are just on the northern side, so they don't have to move that far. And they can gatekeep all these teams coming in from the north. There is a lot of them, and they will rotate straight past them as Intz will be the first team to try and crash in there. They are only 1 player strong. So the XG players will be lighting them up now. Your kill feed should start to pop off any second now.
It's coming.
Here
there is a big old house fight. XG need to come out the better of this as they will look to continue their dominance here, but it's not looking too great so far.
Intz done and dusted, 15th place for the day. They're mixed bag of results for them today as XG are occupying the top of this house as the grenades from CTL start to come up. That one is a pretty cooked grenade, so it could do a lot of damage to that player up there. Ooh. It does actually get a knock eventually.
And that's Mixer as well, the top frag. They're going to try and confirm him with another grenade here.
But the XG aren't feeling it.
Ooh, they are indeed.
They are out.
Looks like they're out. There you go. Well, they've done their part. They probably don't really care at this point.
I don't think they're going to get the 100-point.
No, I don't. I think they will be just short of the 100-point day. We'll have to have a look when we get to the final scoreboard. But they were sitting at 37 when they started the day. So we're looking for 137 now. Of course, the big thing will be 26 placement points, 11 kill points. Love to see how many kills and placement points they've added to their total. Majority will, of course, be placements with 3 chicken dinners, 60 points worth.
Yep.
But we'll see how many kills they've been able to gather as well. It should be somewhere around the 30 to 40 mark. Either way, though, that is them done. That is the end of the XG storyline, at least until we get to the scoreboard, where we'll talk about it a little more. Meanwhile, teams that are still in the game include this one, Crazy here, who do need to stay in it. They do need the points, but already being fired at. And as we switch duels at the minute, Batman bunkered up inside a house with Red Cannons taking some presence.
Yeah, they're certainly raining down on them. That's 2 knocks for the side of Batman. They're bleeding out The push comes in as well, so these kills are getting cleaned up. There's one red player still on a bit of an overwatch, watching everything go down, see if they are going to get third parties. So they're chasing him. He's trying to jump out the window. Batman is on the big escape, but can he make it out? It doesn't look like it, as the third party actually comes in from the side of Loops. So now two teams that have finished second place today, Loops and Red Canids, have found themselves in an engagement. Another engagement taking out is Crazy, getting one of their players knocked. I believe that is one of the HD boys. They desperately need. Both of these teams desperately need points, so any points they do get, they will be very happy with, as they aren't used to getting too many in these lobbies.
Certainly haven't seen too much of that so far from both Crazy and Hard Drop here. Looking to pick up any sort of action that they can, and looks like things have slowed down for now. Just going to have some friendly grenade spam back and forth. See, he's got a better arm, and it actually looks like Crazy. That's a great nade straight through the open door onto Benito. His teammate might be able to get the res off, and fortunately, even though the door is open, the gunfire, the sight line, I should say, the weapon angle is not there to be able to spray down the one going for the heals, so at least Hard Drop will be able to grab that res for now, but we'll have to see how things go on for them from there, as one of Ace's players grabs a knock elsewhere on the battleground, and the circle shifts up to the east.
It is. It's just on the western side of Pachinki, so despite Red Cannons and Loops are in the zone, RD have some players in the zone as well. CTL, they are rotating west, but they had way into the zone before, so that compound just south, I mean not south, west of Pachinki is in the zone, and that's where RD are laying fire into the side of KST. You can see the knocks coming through already. Ace now, they are rotating into the zone. We are left with only 11 teams, and it's a pretty fast game compared to the others we've had today. Zone 5, 11 teams, 35 alive.
Much faster than we're really accustomed to seeing from the South American region, but look, XG is out. We've been denied that storyline, so at this point we'll just sort of ride with it and see what we're going to get out of things here. Trace from Ace is going to drop a smoke and potentially use that to see where else he can go here. Try and find some damage out the window, shoots at the car, but won't be rewarded for it with the scar. Instead, now that his smoke is down, he'll just have to stay here in cover. See what else there we'll find.
As one of the Ace players finds himself smack bang in the middle of his circle. So they are in a decent position. Red Canids also not in a bad spot either. Most of these squads have found themselves on the eastern side and northeastern side of Pachinki. A lot of snakes running in from the west and the south. There's not much to write home about, though, for them at the moment, as they're just taking long-range engages on the southern side, as we have WarMaster, Crazy, the last player of SvG, all shooting wildly into the bushes to try and flush them out, as Crazy now getting peppered, and this player will go down in the blue, so he won't be able to be revived anytime soon, as Crazy are taking a lot of heat right now. More damage onto the Ace guys as they're getting pressured out. They got one of their players finished off by Red earlier, as more Crazy goes more down.
Unfortunately for them, they are bleeding players here pretty rapidly, and that might be them out. Yeah, they are. They go out in 10th place, unfortunately. Crazy. They've had a better day today, but better is... This is going to sound cruel. Better is not necessarily they've had a good day, but they've at least got some points in the board, which they have been desperately needing. So too do Hard Drop, who've just taken a loss there.
Yeah, now the rush will come in as the grenade went upstairs. It did secure a knock, so that signals the trampling stampede of these RD players. They've come in and taken this house for their own, confirming 2 kills, thirsting them pretty quick. Ace 1 actually only on 1 player alive at the moment, as one of their players gets confirmed out. So what was looking good for them at the start now has fallen down pretty quick. ROCKETeSport still in the mixture. There's 3 players alive, but Red Canids at the moment, you just have to say they are the favourite, just because they've been so good today. Plus, they've got 4 alive, and the zone has moved towards them as well, so they don't have to move, and they can continue laying out this pressure, which is quite handy for them. I'm not sure how many kills they have got. Probably not too many, as we see another knock on the kill feed by them.
Have to have a look when we do jump over to their team in a sec. Now, Critical, these guys are also sitting at 4 alive, and they haven't had a bad day, but they haven't really done too much today, at least.
Could be their game.
From memory, this could be their time. They've got 4 players up still.
There we go. What's Red on?
3 teams to do
looks like
so.
6.
Red Canids looking for a bit of a duel here, but worried about being third party. He'd have to check all corners, all angles. With these circles starting to shrink in, there is, of course, a lot of worry to be had
Big
about
compound crash there onto red. The last players of this RD squad are trickling in. That might have been them getting picked off and picked out, actually, as maybe it was the ace player. There is a lot of action going in on that one house. The one red player sitting upstairs is probably shaking in his boots, as that's solo safe getting knocked as well. Teams are starting to pile in to the western side of Pachinki, and it's not pretty. Solo safe player gets confirmed, so there's only one left for him. You see RD getting knocked out as well. Rush to die, they're struggling. The red player is in the position, but he's still just holding on to dear life. None of the backup from red. He's managed to save that house though. That is 6 teams remaining. Only the knock onto the red player, not the confirm. We'll have to see if anyone tries to make the mad dash across there to try and get the revive.
It's not looking likely. I mean, there is enough cover to go for it between the trees, the fence, and the building, but it'll be very risky indeed. In the meantime, LPS here getting an angle down into the wizard hut, potentially able to take out some of these guys on the top floor as they do sit in the windows. The grenade going to go to a different target than where these guys are up on the hill, so
that's not a player.
Fine for now. Look, don't worry about it. Loops still with 4 alive as well, so could be their chance for a bit of redemption after the game that was stolen from them via the play zone and by EXG. Goodness, just making up teams now.
So they are, as Red have 7 kills to their name, and they're looking for a bit more, I reckon. If they're going to try and get a big chicken dinner and catch up a little bit to that XG side, they will find themselves a crate nearby too. As Team Solo Safe, the last member, has been spotted out, I believe, and this grenade could be all she wrote for him. It's
a big throw. We'll see.
Ooh, it lands. Enough. It doesn't do enough damage.
Was, yeah, not quite.
One
more though.
Have another one, mate.
That's a smoke. Leave, and there's a knock onto one of those loot players with the aforementioned dinner plate, and maybe another one as well. We'll have to see if he's able to hit it. The loot player's going to get confirmed as well. That was actually stolen by one of the...
Well, Red did let that player bleed out in the end, so they are only 3 strong. Loops sitting on the high ground, they are 3 strong. We have Critical, they're on the low ground at the moment. They were all stuck in that wizard tower as we saw Loops angling in on them before. They have 4 players up, the positioning doesn't favour them. This last solo safe player is thanking his lucky stars that he hasn't been taken out just yet.
So many grenades flying his way.
He's not getting out of that trench anytime soon.
Absolutely
as
not.
Another red player gets knocked in the same house as his teammate previously died in. So they're starting to lose a little bit of their grip now on this game, as they're pushed from the WarMasters into the trench. He won't be able to find the last Team Solo Safe player. As Loops have a decent position on this high ground. Yeah, still 3 alive.
Everyone's found themselves a player with a ghillie and a grozer by the looks of things. So got some pretty decent weaponry and some pretty decent equipment to come into this final fight. Or what's coming into the final fight is we have 13 alive, 5 teams remaining. Getting towards crunch time here, and it's still Critical Esports who are hanging on with 5. You can see them there in the bottom middle of your screen. They've got 3 players inside a hut, 1 sneaking out to the right behind a tree, trying to find a bit of a better angle to anyone who might be baited by this crate and the promise of what it holds as the zone shrinks yet again.
Critical managed to get out of that wizard tower for free as well. I thought for sure that they were going to lose a player on the rotation there. They didn't, as this is an AUG and a suit of the ghillie. So if it comes down to a prone off, he will be in a pretty decent position. Can be quite hard to spot that. As they're still taking frags and taking fights. That's real. They might be going out soon. There are only 1 left for them. As the zone moves in on all these teams, and they are starting to panic a little bit. You can feel.
They are indeed. It appears that way, and we're almost at the time where that circle is about to move once again as the zone does close on in, and it's going to force a bit of a scramble here, I think, if it goes north, as there is a lot of players grouped up in the south, but anywhere it goes, it's going to cause a bit of a mess.
Ooh, that was a good shot. It
appears to have gone northeast. Can't quite see under all of the player names. That's the problem with this many people still being up in the final couple of circles, but it's Critical who really should have this one in the bag. 2 or 1 players left for every other team currently still in the lobby.
I got my money on the Cannons still. I reckon. Yep, I reckon.
It should be a critical game.
Critical might overextend here. They have got no flanks on them, so they are looking directly at the play zone or the playing field essentially, so that there isn't the possibility of these flanks going too wild for them.
But the Reds, I just feel like they deserve a win for how well they've been playing today.
I mean, I also feel like you could make some argument for Loops with how close
true.
they came and got denied to XG by the zone. So, I mean, we'll just have to play it out and see exactly who's going to take this win. But the zone will now start to move in. It is going up to the northeast, and that's going to force a lot of these teams out of cover. And it will indeed be one of Critical's players who does pay the price to start with, and that should be a confirm for him as well.
Yeah, it is confirmed. And that is, in fact, two critical players.
They have one knocked, one
one's
zone.
knocked.
Ooh, just like that. You can see. Oh, no, that was shots. I was going to say.
Two critical players dead and buried, though. So all of a sudden, it's gone messy for Critical. And Real have found themselves with their last player, a knock. That means one player on Loops, one player on Real, and another finish comes out. That's onto one of the Critical players. So they're down to one already.
Oh, no, they're on one. Sorry,
One
they just moved
player.
and bamboozled. But it looks like the rest of the lobby has just decided to confirm Critical at this point, and all of a sudden we come down to a 2v1v1. It could be WarMaster who are able to get this, but no, never mind. It's Red Cannons who do need to get a revive off here, but
It's a 2v1 now.
Doesn't look like they're going to have the opportunity. It is indeed WarMaster out of nowhere who are suddenly in with the opportunity to grab the win in our final game of Erangel here.
They have no idea where this Red Cannons player is, and he is essentially directly above them.
This is a really clutchable position for him.
The zone favors him too.
It does, and Natowski is taking this engagement entirely on his own.
He's underhanded a nade there.
It looks like it's not quite going to
These players are going to enter the zone soon.
Yeah, they're going to have to move, because this
is
like phase 9. This is
He knows where they are
late.
too.
He might just be able to get the spread on here. He spots the first one, gives himself up though, has the
doesn't
dinner
hit a
plate
shot.
in hand and misses both players. He still has a very powerful position here. They're not going to be able to join him up here just yet, but he's got to try and find a favorable engagement. They look like they are about to head up on the roof. No, never mind. Dropping back down inside.
Getting up there is very difficult.
Well, it is indeed, but Natowski's done it, and still, he can move around. He's got the space to move within this tiny little pocket of safety. He can move around and try and force one of these players out. He can move inside, on top of the house, as much as they can move inside it, so avoiding the zone won't be a problem. It's just a matter of trying to find these jewels.
He has 10 bandages. This WarMaster's player has 9. This player has a med kit, which is better, or a first aid kit. So if it comes to a heal off, he might be in a pretty rough situation.
I think he's going to jump. He's just going to send it here.
See the corner of it. He's going to go. He's going to get the kill, but he doesn't manage to get it. WarMasters take the last game of the day. The Red Cannons put up a beautiful fight at the end, but it does end up going down to WarMaster, just wearing a bit too much damage, ending up in the zone, and that will be the last game of the day in the books. We'll have to go see the highlights, as it was an action-packed map that ended on a high note in the western side of Pubg.
12 kills is the chicken dinner for WarMaster there. They'll be pretty happy with that one at the end of the day, and very nearly a game that could have been winnable for multiple teams there. I mean, Critical had a really good position until it fell apart in the space of about a minute. All 4 players going down, potentially even less than that. Here is his first couple of very early kills. We had a couple drive-bys. We even had a car kill, I believe, quite early on as well. So a lot of early fighting, but the only thing that was really too unexpected was XG going out.
Yeah, it was unexpected that XG went out so early. They didn't manage to get the rotates they needed. They managed to compound crash in and find themselves on the losing end of that, as the more beautiful grenades come out. This was one straight through the door, as you mentioned. At the time, these are just... The grenade plays actually increased a lot in the tournament so far, just as we aren't even about a third of the way through the tournament. And it's already... The grenade plays already become so much better. Same with the compound crashes, as they've been very clean. It was just more Red Cannons action with the dinner play onto Loops at the end of the game, essentially.
War Machine getting themselves some more nice jewels off as well in this final one. This is a very near thing for this last red player, but fell in the zone, started taking damage immediately. Would have only needed a bullet or two to actually get that final knock, that final kill. So it's WarMaster who do come through and take the final win there.
See 32 points. Red Cannons take out 24 points, getting 10 on the kills. Critical, they get 16 for 8 for 8, so split that even down the middle. That's a good result for WarMaster, though. They needed those points, and they're going to get them.
Exactly that. They do move themselves up with a chicken dinner and a decent amount of kills. 12 all said and done. So they'll be happy with that. I mean, I think most of our teams in the bottom 8 at least had one decent match today, right? I think that is pretty fair to say. And having a look at that game once again, WarMaster 32 points, 12 kills, and the win. Red Cannons 24 in second. Critical, an even 16. finishing up in 4th place, moving themselves up with those 8 kills. I think everyone's going to be reasonably okay with how this went. Let's have a look at the bottom 8 here in just a sec and see how that end of the table did look, because everyone on this side had a reasonable game. That said though, if 8th place is Ace with 5 points, it's a really low scoring game for the rest of the table, and there it is.
There's 3 teams without a kill. XG, one of them, Batman, one of them, Intz and Crazy. They've been up and down, but essentially they'll find themselves at the bottom of the leaderboard, I imagine. This is the leaderboard as XG they do manage to actually get 100 points in the day, I believe.
100 points dead.
On the money, yeah.
They started out with 11 kills and 26 placement points. They've got that in just today, 39 kills, and an additional, what did I just say? How many placement points? 26. What's the maths on that? 61 placement points today. So 60 from 3 chicken dinners, and 1 from that last map with a not-so-hot finish. But this is the, I'm not going to say final standings, but it's the standings as we are after 2/3 of the group stage play for all of these teams. They've each got 4 more matches to go, 1 more night to get through our 24, and I mean, not too many changes overall. There's a lot of shifting up and down as we do have teams catching up. Yeah, WarMaster moved themselves all the way up to 18th with that chicken dinner there, 63 points.
Here's some of the teams that are in danger. You'd think from 20 down, you'd be a bit curious as to why you are there. But see, they're also tight, 64 points for Influence Rage, and then Team Solo Safe is just there. But these are the teams at the moment that are currently due for elimination if they keep going like this. Hard Drop has moved up, but not enough to secure themselves out of that zone.
That said though, look how small the gap has become between last play, or like very bottom 8 and the top of the bottom 8. It's only 14 points now. It's 1 good game away. Having a look at the kill leaderboard, it's Brazilian Killers still with 3 out of the top 5. Pedro's in there as well from 6-9, but Red Canids with a couple of good games have snuck one of their players into the top 5 as well. So the thing I'm more surprised by is that XG didn't have any players in there. But either way, that is us done for the wild card, or the South African region. South America. Let me try that one more time. South American region. That's the one. Promise. South America. That's us done for the day. That's another 4 maps done. We are 2/3 of the way through the group stage for the South American region. We've got 2 more days of play for the group stage here. 8 more games, 4 for every team in the region. But unfortunately, none of that is coming today. We will see you soon at the same place here. But until next time, have a good one.